This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, we have full-on MCU geek boners.
Geek boner!
As we review episode 5 of Hawkeye and give you a full spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh my God, it's here. All in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Monday, December 20th, 2021.
Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and you're listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. Why? I don't know.
Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up.
Jock it, we nerd it. We funny, disturb it. We jock it, we nerd it. We spoiler alert. Oh yeah!
Hello, what's up, listener? How's it going? Welcome to the Jock and Nerd podcast, where we give you comic book and superhero TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose.
Jock and Nerd!
My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's a nerd.
And joining us straight from the multiverse, a fella who has a magical slack hole portal. Stuff goes in, it doesn't come out. It's crazy. It's Variant Rug Boy. What's up, Rugs?
Hello, gentlemen.
Oh, this variant sounds very distinguished. What a distinguished gentleman we have here. Ruggs, are you all right? You sound weird.
What the hell was that?
Oh, Imran, I am fantastic.
Oh, this is like a really sophisticated variant of Rug Boy. What universe are you from, sir?
Oh, I believe it is from Earth 6969.
Yes. I think that's where I ordered this variant Rugs. And it just came in the other
I'm trying
day.
to think of what he sounds like right now.
He sounds like a distinguished...
He sounds like the candle from Beauty and the Beast or something
Is
like
this the candle from Beauty and the Beast?
Is that
really?
I think.
Oh,
I don't know
damn it, you got me.
Now I don't know what that is.
Don't send me back, it's hell.
Get back in that mirror.
No.
Okay. It's not
He's
Rug
definitely a
Boy.
Disney villain at
Yes,
that point.
now he's a Disney villain.
Actually, it was just doing like a really bad like British version of Vincent Price, basically.
Oh yeah, that was a bad
there you
Vincent
go.
Price.
Wait, this isn't
It's not Rugs.
This is not a what the fuck happened.
Listener
What?
joining us. We are
Who is
doing
this?
Christmas with the Ginger Geek himself this week. It's Matt Delhauer. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
How's it going, everybody? I hope you're all wearing your ugly sweaters.
Oh, every sweater I own is ugly. Which one are you talking
That's
about?
true.
I have no sense of style.
That definitely that
not surprising
sounds right.
Imran, I think Imran like waved his fingers around and he just said, "Bring a Jock and Nerd guest."
Well,
Bring a Jock and Nerd guest.
Well, you see, I want to get a Jock and Nerd guest on here that hasn't been on there in a long while, but one that really we've talked to about Spider-Man movies, but also he remembers those Spider-Man movies. You're ruining the spell, Imran.
it's don't forget, it's come full circle. Look, just to clarify, Anthony, you were sick a few weeks ago. It's Rug Boy's turn to be ill. From what I understand, he was hanging out with Fraggle Rock, and those guys are dirty hippies, so he caught something from the Fraggle Rock dudes. I don't blame him. They are fun, but they're not very clean. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what a Fraggle Rock
You don't remember
is.
Fraggle Rock down in Fraggle Rock?
No, what is that?
It was a Jim Henson joint there. They lived underground, and they had little builders that built things, and they were like...
I'll tell you,
crackheads.
Imran, I only know what you're talking about because I had siblings that were 4 to 8 years older than me.
Okay.
This was not a thing that hit our generation.
I'll-
You're bringing up something from the 80s.
Let me update the joke. He was down on Sesame Street in a dirty alley.
Yes.
There we go. Now,
Yes,
you
yes,
get
yes.
it. Okay, good.
I like that we have Delhauer here because we're both of the same ilk.
Mm-hmm.
So now your stupid 80s jokes that only 50-year-olds get.
God damn it.
we're not gonna
Millennials.
understand.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I can't make any Punky Brewster jokes. Noted.
Yeah.
You can actually, because I'll tell you right now, my first crush ever, Punky Brewster.
Oh, get out. That one of my first crushes also was Punky Brewster, I think.
Well, now that just ruined it.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. That's what I do. I ruined
That was your first crush? You were like 20 years old.
I was going to say, you were in college, she was 9.
No, not that old. We were like the same age growing up. But anyways, Delhauer, glad to have you. We have some great MCU content to review. Let's get to it.
The Jock and Nerd podcast.
All right, we got two great MCU things to review. We're going to start with the Hawkeye on Disney Plus. We're up to episode 5, the penultimate episode. I love to say that word, penultimate. This episode is titled Ronin. Here's your spoilers.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
Anthony, catch us up. Do you remember what happened a week ago when you watched this episode?
Man, this is tough. It's really tough. Shoot. What happened at the end? So, at the end of episode 4, a Black Widow assassin has been hired, and Clint kicks
We see it's Yelena.
Kate Bishop. Yeah, we see Yelena. She's back. Kate and Clint are no longer a thing because Clint's like, you can't be in this kind of danger. I'm done with you.
You're a baby.
So
go home.
Yeah, so she goes home. She tells her mom. She's real sad about it. Her mom's comforting her. And Clint's going to do this on his own. And Clint's plan here is to basically set up a meeting, a confrontation with Echo, and tell her what's up. Tell her what's really going on. And in the midst of that plan, Kate Bishop decides to jump back in.
Yeah, she's not out. She's not out.
So she's not out. And the whole episode's kind of we're moving the chess pieces in places for the final act.
There's discoveries that happen. Things are revealed.
Tony, you forgot one crucial scene.
What, the end?
No.
The cold open.
No, not even
What's
that.
that? Oh.
Well,
Oh.
I mean, maybe it's kind of that. The sit-down macaroni dinner.
I'm just doing a
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll get into all that. But
Yeah.
Delhauer, I want to know from you, how have you been enjoying the show so far? What do you think of the Hawkeye?
I have been enjoying Hawkeye. My feeling on it is that they decided to do with Hawkeye. Now, number one, I have read the graphic novel this is based on, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think what I like about this is that they basically said Hawkeye is a character that for the past 13 years, 9 years. No, 8 years, because he showed up in Thor first.
Right.
No, so that would be 10 years.
Thor, yeah.
Yeah.
So for the past 10 years or so, really hasn't had a character at all. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give him his own Logan story, where now he's got to be the gruff, mean dad that has to protect this girl who's almost just like him in a world of danger and bad people.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a kind of good. Yeah, it's more less gritty, more
Yes,
Marvel,
very much so.
MCU.
I have been enjoying it. It's I like what they have done with the character. I think for as much as I am very 5 out of 10 on Jeremy Renner most of the time,
Yeah.
I do like what they're doing with him and the character in this.
Haley Steinfeld?
Haley Steinfeld, I enjoy. I think it's one of those things where it's like, Kate Bishop annoys me, but that's not her fault. That is the character.
Right. That's the
So
point
she's
of Kate
doing
Bishop.
it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that it has taken me all the way until episode 5 to finally not feel like every episode my reaction is, I don't care about your home life.
It's a big part of it. Well,
Oh,
look.
God, rich people that are being like disconnected from each other. I don't fucking care.
Rich people problems. This episode, though, we were promised that it would break the internet. And yeah, big reveals, a lot of interesting things to discuss. Let's start with that cold open before the credits in 2018. We find out Yelena was blipped because we see the fucking moment.
Oh, shit.
It happens. And I love seeing this from her point of view, where she fucking bursts up into dust for a second, sucks back in, and then all of reality just changes around her. What'd you guys think of the open and what she was doing, and the scene that takes place between the Black Widow movie and before the Black Widow post-credits scene?
I thought it was well done. I know, or in Black Widow, we kind of left off with her trying to find the widows and
Free
cure
them,
them. So
yeah.
I liked that. Yeah, so I like that we picked up there because it wouldn't have made sense if we just picked up somewhere else. So I like that they took a minute or two to explain that. It's kind of a nice little, funny little thing there where she's curing a Black Widow that didn't need to be cured.
She's like, look what you did to my rug. This was a $20,000 rug.
It's like, I'm fine. What is
are you
going on?
doing?
I liked, as you mentioned, I liked the perspective of someone getting blipped and then the world kind of shifting around them when they return, and we get a little bit more of the logistics of a blip. So it's like you come back to the location you were at, and things could have changed. The only thing that was a little off about that scene is when she comes back, that lady that she had blipped, that widow is still there, and the widow's like, "Oh, like you're back," kind of like her reaction. Like
she does seem far less phased by the idea of like, you went into my bathroom and disappeared, and now 5 years later you're walking out of my bathroom.
Well, you probably would have figured out 5 years. You probably would have figured out that like, okay, half the world got blipped.
Oh yeah,
but it's the fact that when she comes back,
you're not expecting that.
If she had come back, then your brain immediately has got to be like, holy shit, the world is like, people are coming back. Like you wouldn't just be like, oh. Natasha,
it was a little subdued.
I guess it's because
she was a little subdued.
The fact that she had a family means that like they all were people who didn't blip. Like it was the husband, I guess, was someone she met after the snap.
Yeah, and she's got this little kid there. It's about 4 years old.
Like, being an assassin who has made millions and millions of dollars killing people, and after the snap, you've decided I'll settle down and become a wife and mother.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I guess people are coming back now. Because, like, who did she have before that?
She just goes, Yelena, my God, you're back.
Even if she didn't have anyone there, it just would be such a monumental thing to be like, holy shit, that
now, the two things
like, people are back.
That I remember the Mr. Sunday Movies YouTube channel brought up when talking about this. Number one, you know for a fact there had to be, in the world, at least one person who was taking a shit when they got snapped.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know for a fact that 5 years later, when they came back, there had to be somebody else taking a shit on that toilet.
Sitting on the toilet. Oh, that's going to be a very awkward conversation. Can you imagine?
I like to think in that scenario, because there's all sorts of oddball scenarios that would occur there, or that could have occurred. That I think the blip was smart enough to return that person to a physical location that they could actually be physically at. So if there was someone at the toilet, maybe
next to him,
the blip machine would wait until like that person was done wiping their ass.
You would hope.
Because the other one was, what if like people got snapped out of like an airplane?
Well, airplanes. That was my first question. Like, the airplane's not there anymore. Is it going to return you to that spot in the sky? I think
no, it's clear it's not returning. I think it's going to return you to the airplane.
I was going to say, the question becomes, do you return to your seat in the airplane, or do you return to the spot in 30,000 feet in the air?
Yeah, I think I think you return to the airplane.
That's fine by me. You know what? It's because there's no point in arguing that bullshit.
No, there's no point. There's really no point in arguing. But you would think Hulk, who's the guy that blipped them back,
right,
would be like, blip them back safely.
Oh, he would have to think
especially because
that.
he was smart Hulk.
Yeah, and he was very smart.
But like,
he liked tacos.
How shocking is this to be that person that like in 2 seconds, 5 years have jumped? But can you imagine you're taking a shit? Mm-hmm. Let's just play this out. You're taking a shit.
We're still stuck.
Yeah, because then you're taking a shit, and the next thing you know is you're sitting on another person taking a shit.
Oh,
and you don't know why, and 5 years have passed. That's going to be very awkward.
There'd be a lot of mental health things going on.
I was going to say, there were a bunch of support groups beforehand. There's going to be tons of them afterward. The thing that I really liked about the way they portrayed Yelena being snapped and unsnapped is the fact that not only does she see herself like vaporize and then reconstitute immediately, but it's the fact that from her it emanates outward and you see the room change around her.
That's cool.
And so it's that idea of like, did I just have a fucking acid trip? What even just happened right now? And then you walk out the door and it's like, it's been 5 years. Fuck you. No, it hasn't.
Yeah, and then she's like, I got to find Natasha. I got to find my sister. And I was like, oh, boy. Also, you notice her place is like a lot less opulent. It becomes more like homey. It's not all like white and glamorous.
Well, because now she's a wife and mother, and they have a kid. And you don't keep $20,000 rugs with a child, Imran.
No, that's not going to end well. But she might be still doing mercenary jobs. She offers her.
No, why not?
Some work.
That's why she's management now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She moved up. Great open to this episode. Wait, before we move on, I want to tell the listener, you want to join the conversation? We have a Facebook group. It's called Jock and Nerd Nation. It's closed, exclusive. Jock and Nerd. We post spoiler threads for everything so you can geek out and hang out with like-minded individuals. Lots of fun. Join it today. Okay, so let's get to the Kate and Yelena meeting, which is fucking fantastic. Kate goes back to her burned out apartment, and Yelena's just waiting for her. And how
cooking macaroni
and cheese is delicious. How fucking great is Florence Pugh in this? She just emanates charisma. Like, I could watch her all day. Her chemistry with Kate Bishop is great. Just the fucking lines where she's like, "You have one fork. This is not cutlery." Kate Bishop, you're so funny. Oh, then where she's like, "I don't have any weapons currently in my hands." That is also a lie. I'm sorry. Like, just she dazzles from the minute she's on screen. I don't know what it is. She's so good. Love her.
I didn't like this scene.
What?
I like of it. Now, granted, I get, yes, Marvel loves their comedy bits, but this just felt so odd to me. And I will admit that it could be skewed by the fact that I didn't see Black Widow.
Oh, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah,
I get there's a lot of
it was just like,
yeah, that's a big problem.
This felt like it was a reshoot that they added in because somebody said, "We need funny moments, though." And like the entire time, I just like I was sitting there being like, this entire scene is a bit, and I just want to know what's going on. Like she did fine. She was the funny Russian assassin. That's very, this show right now in a world where we have the tracksuit mafia. Yeah, but it just like the entire scene just felt like, okay, I get it. You're quirky. This is great. We're 5 episodes into a 6-episode season. Can we move forward right now?
I mean, she was trying to, she's intimidating Kate and kind of showing how badass she is, but she's also trying to find Clint, and she lets her know, "I'm here to kill him."
I guess it's also because my feeling is this. This is the moment where she's revealing, I was hired to kill Clint Barton.
Right.
Great. You were on a roof fighting Clint Barton, and you were winning.
Yes,
and then you stunned him, and you ran away.
Yeah, that was
so. If you were hired to kill Clint Barton, you actively didn't and left.
Well,
there was
2 on 1.
A bunch of people there.
No, it was not.
It's craziness.
She got rid of Kate Bishop in an instant.
I mean,
that was Echo.
But I mean, he's got a point because Yelena could take out all of these people easily. She
said, "I wasn't trying to kill you. I removed an obstacle," which she did, and then she fought Clint more.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the scene. I enjoyed the scene. I've seen Black Widow. You guys know that. I think it would have helped if you saw Black Widow because you get to see Yelena's characters kind of, as you mentioned.
I will say, I have seen the hysterectomy scene.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it, but it was also like, I will take this a step even further back. I recently finally watched Shang-Chi.
Okay.
It took me a while to honestly get into anything Marvel again because I also have really not felt the need to go to a movie theater in the past almost 2 years. Despite the fact that I was looking forward to Shang-Chi, wound up just not going because, I finally watched it on Disney Plus, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But the problem I had with Shang-Chi was there were moments that I refer to as the Marvelization of a story.
Oh, yeah.
That I didn't like.
You talked about that.
Yeah.
Why can I not just have a kung fu fight on a bus in the middle of San Francisco or wherever?
Well, you gotta have
it doesn't involve some fat white guy on his phone talking to his followers.
You have to have
I don't need you.
He was black.
It was a black guy. Whatever. I don't care.
He's a black
I get that. We actually in our review I brought some of that up.
The thing that I liked about it was as the time went on and the movie moved forward, they got less and less of that, and the humor that came forth was from the characters in a genuine sense until we got to Trevor.
Yeah,
where it just became like, but we need somebody to be funny.
That's more of the Marvel,
and it's one of those things where like as time goes on, I'm like, I love James Gunn, but fuck you. Like,
He started
you did
the trend.
this.
Yeah. Well, he does it good though. Like it's
He
a
does.
little bit
absolutely.
different. Yeah,
Suicide
but now,
Squad was great. I love both of the Guardians movies, minus one or two things in Guardians 2. But beyond that, it's like he knows how to balance this. But then they turn around and they tell every director, this is what you do now.
Peyton Reed is okay. He's good with the comedy, but yeah, it's the same. It's a lot of the same thing.
Are we going to talk about Hawkeye?
What are we talking about?
It ultimately boils down to the reason I didn't like the scene is because I want a more serious story that involves Hawkeye, because I'm from the fucking East Coast. Hawkeye getting into some shit where he has to get himself out because the man is literally trying to run from his murderous past. And instead I got 5 minutes of a fucking stand-up bit.
Well, I think in that sense, the show is never really promised to that. It's always every trailer. I've said this before on the show. Every trailer has been goofy,
and it has.
The show's tone has been goofy.
But I think you have a chance
I get that.
This far into the show that you can say you're on episode 5 at this point, man. If we haven't brought you into the story, we're not going to bring you in at this point. So to try and we're going to hook you in with the comedy, I want the story now because I already know there's going to be a season 2. We're one episode away, and you've gone fucking dick about most things in this.
There's still a lot. Yeah, a lot needs to be wrapped up.
I enjoyed the conversation because of the fact that Yelena's character is so quirky and goofy, and she's so goofy that Haley Steinfeld, who's been goofy the entire show, is she's like, "What the fuck is wrong? What's going on with this woman? Is in my house, and she's talking to me like
and
this."
I can respect the fact that the point of it is that the character is so confident in her ways that she doesn't have to be intimidating.
Right.
But I also feel like to be so confident in her ways that she is being like an SNL sketch.
That's how she is the entire
that's her
Black Widow, though.
Yeah.
She's like, I
she's
know
like
what you're
that.
thinking. This is crazy.
I enjoyed it. I like when characters interact. I like a lot of I like scenes in general with Marvel where they have characters bounce off one another, and this was another one of those moments.
There is important stuff that they finally get to it at the end of the stand-up bit, and that is, Yelena tells her, "I'm here to kill Clint," and she's like, "Why? How has everybody forgiven Clint Barton for what he's done? Why are you with him?" She tells Kate the trail of blood that follows him could wrap around the world, and she also reveals that she is Natasha's sister and that Natasha is dead because of Clint.
Well, here's the one thing though. I enjoyed the conversation. I don't like that track that they're going on in terms of, she's pissed because Clint was connected to Black Widow's death and Clint was killing people. But there's two things that ring wrong with that. One, we know that Clint actively was trying not to get Black Widow killed. Number two, Yelena's a Black Widow assassin. So for her to take the moral high ground and be like, you're going around killing people.
Well, and that's
a good point.
That is another sense of it. When we first meet her in the beginning of the episode, she's on this moral mission of saving the other Black Widows.
Right.
She then gets blipped, comes back, and suddenly the one Black Widow who wasn't under mind control basically tells her, hey, if you need anything, I can work as like a go-between to hire you as an assassin for people. And so she decides, great, I'll kill for money now. And then shows up to murder for money, saying, well, how can everyone forget what it is that Clint Barton has done? No one knows what Clint Barton has done. That was the point of Ronin.
Yeah,
no one knows it was
Ronin.
him.
Yeah. Also, that part was a little of a bit of a reach because it's Kate who eventually is like, well, you need to think about who's hiring you if they're telling you all this bullshit. Maybe you should ask, wouldn't she have she should have been suspicious of this to begin with if she's a Black Widow, whatever.
It was written in a way, it wasn't written very, they tried to make it so that there's kind of like a gray situation here between the characters and Hawkeye, and you kind of question Hawkeye, but you're like, none of that rings true. And it's really a setup for the reveal.
It is just a big setup. And she says, the other Easter egg she says is she's like, first time in New York, I went to see new and improved Statue of Liberty, placing this after Spider-Man No Way Home, as we'll get to.
I think it's before.
Yeah.
No, it is after because it's Christmas and the end of that movie,
after.
it's snowing.
I guess Yeah, I guess it's no, because he goes swinging around at Christmas time at the end. You're right. We'll talk about that in the spoiler review of that movie.
We'll get to that. So
because you didn't hit the spoiler button for the Spider-Man.
Everybody's seen it. Everybody knows what happened.
Sued.
I love that scene. I love the chemistry. Then we get the scene where, because Kate tells her mom, Clint told me to go home. He's, she says, I'm not a superhero. And she's like, we found some shit about Jack. You should look into it. The next time we see them, Jack is getting arrested in like the goofiest way. What do you think of Jack Duquesne? Anthony, you were like, nobody acts like this, and nobody acts like this. He's just like,
I hate
like,
Jack
oh,
Duquesne's
this is all a
character.
big misunderstanding. I'll clear this up, officers. What?
I hate how he acts. He's so
is
over
this?
the top.
I feel like they set this up for Kate's sake because the mom knows. He's like, I'm being framed. I don't think he knows.
Wait.
Yeah.
Imran, you think there's some sort of mystery here?
It was
that Kate's mom is in on it. You think that's what they're setting up? Because they've been setting this up since the first episode. It's the worst kept secret. It's Marvel's not even trying to make it a secret.
It was so goofy when he got arrested. What do you think of Jack Delhauer so far?
Jack Duquesne is a character they couldn't afford to get Paul F. Tompkins to play.
It's totally Paul F. Tompkins. Oh my God, yes.
I love and hate his character so much because this is the most fucking Ricardo Montalban,
absolutely
ridiculous bullshit. I do love the fact that, yes, they've been setting up from the beginning that the mom and Jack are in on everything that's going on. You don't get Vera Farmiga. Vera?
Yeah.
Right. Farmiga. I know there's two of them. I always mix them up. You don't get Vera Farmiga to just play the doting mother.
Right.
Like, she's too expensive to be a side character.
I don't even think Jack knows anything. I think he's just fucking setting him up.
No.
He might just be.
He knows stuff.
This is my feeling is she's the brains and he's the swordsman.
Oh, he's just the swordsman. Okay. He's the slicey dicey if necessary. Yeah, so that part was weird. And then I love this. Clint goes to the Battle of New York Memorial, right where that happened in Avengers. And I was like, of course there would be a memorial. And he takes off his earpiece and he talks to Natasha. Very touching moment. Right after that, he does put the Ronin suit back on, which is fucking crazy. I didn't think he was going to put that suit back on. But a great moment with the tracksuit mafia. I love these guys when they're in the truck. And fucking Christmas in Hollis, Queens by Run DMC.
Oh, man. I was right back at the beginning of Die Hard.
Oh, my God. Run DMC is classic, bro. Like us. We're classic.
Those classic tracksuits, bro.
They're so good. The music is great. They use the Peanuts Christmas music. They use Run DMC, and then they use the Grinch song at the end. Oh, I fucking loved it. It was great.
The thing that I love about the tracksuit mafia is they are the stupidest goddamn
bumbling
thing
idiots, and
the Marvel MCU has ever done.
But you remember,
and I
them.
love it to death. Like,
They're
and this
so
is the thing
memorable.
that, like, this is the contradiction that is me.
Yeah,
you have the stupid fucking, like, I'm an assassin who's funny thing with Yelena, and I'm like, I don't need this shit.
Yeah,
but then you give me this dumbass fucking tracksuit mafia, and I'm like, this is beyond stupid, and I love it. And I cannot explain to you why.
He's like, do we look like the Royal Tenenbaums? Come on, bro. It's classic, bro.
I think it's because the entire scene ends with the most cartoony shit in the world where he shoots an arrow and has a secret compartment with a scroll in it.
It's great. And there's the guy screaming, and then it just pops open. And that the meeting's great. Echo's there, and he's like, come alone. Of course, she doesn't. Kazi and everybody is there. And fucking Clint takes him out like Batman Begins, all in the shadows.
They Batmaned him so hard in this fucking scene.
It's fucking great. And I was shocked. I was like, oh shit, he's put the fucking suit on again. And they do have a little fight. And I love when
I love the hyperbole from Imran. Everything is great.
It was so good. Well, I love how they use her prosthetic leg too in the fights. You notice that? Like a lot of times.
Yeah, she uses it to like deflect.
I have to ask this question. Now, this is coming from a white boy of privilege who has never taken any sort of fight training.
Okay.
And has all of my limbs.
Okay.
If you know, and in a situation like this, not like a standard, UFC or boxing match or anything, but if you know in a fight like this where there's a chance you'll die, and you know that your opponent has a prosthetic leg, are you not going to then immediately try to make sure that you take their leg off?
I don't think he knows she has a prosthetic leg.
It's feel like it surprised him, but eventually he would have heard the sounds of the metal clinging. I don't
think
know.
I don't think it's been revealed.
I'll accept the idea that he doesn't know because it was only as far as I can tell. Yes, we as an audience know, but I feel like he knew. But I will also believe if I'm told he never actually saw or found out.
He might have figured. He might know from the first fight that she was using it, but there hasn't been like a reveal other than to the audience that she had a prosthetic leg,
and that's fine. But I feel like the moment that you as a fighter who's like, this person will probably kill me, knows like, oh, you've got a prosthetic leg, I'm fucking taking your leg.
Because it's an advantage and some parts.
Yeah, you're bashing me in the fucking knee with your steel leg. Yes.
Yeah. Pull that thing right off. Make sure it's strapped on.
Not really ever heard a prosthetic leg being called an advantage for someone, but
no, it kind of is.
I guess if you're like,
I was going to say, utilize it enough as a weapon, sure.
No,
think of it this way. You remember Blade Runner, the track runner who had the spring legs and whatnot.
The girlfriend
They said
killer,
he wasn't allowed to be like running Olympic matches because they called it an advantage because they were literally shaped to spring.
He could run faster. I mean, look, I
don't think she's wearing a spring.
No, she's not. I'm not saying she is. I'm saying she's taking a steel leg and she's bashing it in his ribs.
I just had to call out that we're arguing that someone with a prosthetic leg has an advantage.
She's deaf and has one leg, and let me tell you, it's unfair.
It can be an advantage. I was watching a documentary where this guy was talking about like he lost his limbs, and then when he got these prosthetic legs, it made him even better and stronger, and it was like he appreciated it. Like
this is what almost every cyberpunk book has been about since the 80s.
Cybernetic parts are tight, bro. Anyways, they're fighting, but he doesn't want to kill her. He reveals himself to her. He tells her, "You and me, we're the same. We're both weapons." And we get the real story. He says, "Your boss wanted your father dead. I was there because an inside informant tipped me off that night." And she doesn't believe it, and that sends her on a tizzy. And more convenient writing, as Kate Bishop just happens to show up right when she needs to, and fucking for the save so that he can get away.
Now, don't you go being grumpy about it, Imran.
No,
she tracked his phone again.
Again, all right. That's also there's so much convenient
that she shouldn't be allowed to track because he's not a customer of their fucking security company.
It doesn't matter. She just needs your phone number and she can triangulate your location from the pings.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Yeah, well, that's how they move the plot along.
That's how they made all their money.
Yeah, I know.
That's how they But sometimes the convenient writing really bugs me, and that was another. I was like, oh, of course you can.
Yeah, but also, Imran, this is a comic book.
It's true, but does it have to be so much convenience all the time?
It does.
Especially in this show.
That's how comic books work.
For what it's worth, she actually does. Echo, you said Echo still like doesn't believe it. She does believe it. She kind of takes him and she's like, "What's going on?"
She calls him a liar, but she definitely feels like there is more truth to it than she wants to admit.
Right, because if the way she had built up Ronan in her mind was this assassin that just is ruthless and cold-blooded, and he's in front of her right there, and he doesn't kill her.
Yeah,
and
he has the chance to kill her, and he spares her.
Now, I will say, I've never had a situation in my life where an assassin has killed my father.
Right.
But
wait a minute.
If that assassin was in front of me,
whose dad did I kill?
Oh shit!
I don't know. That was someone else.
Oh shit!
If there was an assassin in front of me, and he said to me, "You know, I might kill your dad, but it was someone else's fault," I would be mad that there was someone else's fault.
But I think
I'd still be mad at the assassin.
Yeah, you did still kill my father.
Now here's where when we get to the end of the episode, Anthony, is where I think you might be mad about who it was that might have called the hit, but you also know that's a lot more trouble for you than it might be worth.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, Anthony, this is her journey. This is her journey has begun to go on the other side. She questions Kazi.
Yeah, why were you there?
She goes, "Why were you his right-hand man? Why were you at that meeting?" He goes, "I don't know. I didn't get a call." And she's like, and I'm like, this is her journey against the mafia, against the boss.
That's why Kazi has been the whole season being like, hey, stop pushing this, stop
Right.
chasing this.
Stop Ronan.
Like you're, stop doing like
Yeah,
we're just gonna
we'll
kill Ronan,
him, but
then.
once that's done, we're over.
Yeah. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
we don't need this attention.
We kind of knew this show isn't trying to like hide the show is giving you exactly what you expect. There is no subverting of expectations.
And
in
there's
this show.
there's a comparison that I want to make once we get to the end of the episode.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, though, subverting, like giving the audience what they expect, isn't a bad thing.
No.
I think the show overall is like fine. Like it's not my favorite show of all time, but just there's so much like in media these days and like about subverting expectations like that's supposed to be the norm when that's not the norm. That's actually giving the people what they kind of want more often than not works.
It's delivering as advertised. Absolutely, you know. So in the meantime, Clint has been staying at Grill's house where Pizza Dog is.
Grill is my favorite fucking character in this show.
Grills is great. Grills is great.
We're recapping the part where he's at Grill's house.
Well, I'm just saying that because there is a box. There's a couple of suits in boxes that we're probably going to see.
You mean the suits that they have in the photo on the front page of this show?
Right, where they're in the Rockefeller Center. Yeah. Like, we've seen the suits already. Also, the LARPers and stuff, they've taken the place in the comics. Like, Clint owned a building, and all the tenants kind of helped him in this like adventure. So they're kind of replacing the tenants.
I love that his inner circle is a group of fucking New York City LARP members.
Have you ever been a LARPer, Delhauer?
I've never done LARP, but I have done paintball, which is like LARP for Republicans, basically.
Paintball looks way more fun than LARPing.
No, paintball is fun as shit. And I do have friends who LARP, and it is a lot of fun, but it's one of those things where like there's a part of it, like I play D&D, but there's just a part of LARP that like I'm not 100% behind. And like I don't hold it against anybody, but it's like I don't know, man. I did paintball for a while, but I kind of want my weekends for more than like doing a whole weekend in the woods with friends dressed. With like, dressed in fake armor.
It's supreme role playing. It's like the ultimate role playing fucking gig there.
Yeah,
it could be fun.
It's fine. I'm better. I'm more suited to doing 3 hours on a Monday night with friends than 48 hours up in fucking upstate New York.
In the woods somewhere.
In the woods, exactly, yeah. I'm not a camping person, Imran.
No, that's why we build houses, so we can live inside them, not in the fucking woods. Anyways, look, so Yelena is following Eleanor Bishop. Kate...
This Hawkeye review is taking longer than I thought.
Kate and Clint are at Grill's house, and Yelena texts Kate saying, I looked who hired me. Turns out it was Eleanor Bishop, and there's a fucking photo of her and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin in the white suit. And Clint goes, that's the guy I've been worried about. Kingpin, boom.
Oh, shit.
He says the name, and there we have it. They did it. I wish we actually saw him do something, D'Onofrio, but hopefully next episode.
He'll be in the next episode.
He'll be in it. But
for an episode called The Boss, I sure hope.
Oh, yeah. It's called The Boss, so it's going to be about The Boss.
Again, or Springsteen.
We were waiting for this. Anthony, did you, what were your feelings when you saw that photo?
I had it spoiled, first off.
Oh, shit.
I didn't watch the episode till later at night, and like just even perusing YouTube this week was just a fucking mess.
Oh, dude, there's huge parts of the movie on YouTube. Don't go there.
The movie, but even like they had the freaking title from John Campio was like Kingpin is back in the MCU
right away
that day, and I'm
by 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, you had people posting things about like what it means that Kingpin is in Hawkeye,
and I was just like, oh my god. So, anyways, I had it spoiled, but again, one of the this wasn't something that was all that. This was super telegraphed, right? Like this wasn't a Ralph Boner situation. Right. They decided if you've been watching anything Marvel and can figure stuff out, you'll know right away that this is Kingpin, and yep, we're going to give you Kingpin. So I am excited to see Vincent D'Onofrio in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm still wondering if it's just Vincent D'Onofrio playing the MCU version of Kingpin or if it's actually the Netflix Kingpin, because that Kingpin is so far removed from the tone of this show.
He's a brutal.
As Delhauer mentioned, the Tracksuit Mafia is so fucking goofy, and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in Netflix is so not goofy that I could never see him hiring that group of people to work for him to do anything.
You're telling me,
other than maybe Buchanan Fox.
You're
That's
telling
a
me
good
that
point.
the Netflix Kingpin owns Fat Man car lots?
Yes, that's his base of operation. But you're right, though.
But regardless, if it's either the Netflix version or a different take with just Vincent D'Onofrio taking on the role again, I'm happy.
Will it be disappointing if he's a little watered down and they neuter the Kingpin because of all this? That's a good point.
I think Vincent D'Onofrio is so good that I think they've clearly in that sense, the fans really responded to that character. So I don't think they're going to completely cut off his nuts.
They better not. He needs his nuts. He's nuts. My question is, so Delhauer, at the end of Black Widow, the post-credit scene, you see Valentina Contessa talk.
He has no idea what you're talking about.
That's what I'm explaining to him.
Oh, that's right.
You see Valentina Contessa find Yelena, and she's like, you want to go after who killed your sister? Here it is. And she's got an iPad and Clint Barton's face on there. So, see, essentially, it seemed like she hired Yelena to go after Clint.
She's the go.
So I was going to say, so Valentina is essentially
she's picked up a contract.
She's the manager.
Yeah.
Right.
She's the recruiter working for the manager who is Vera Farmiga working for the GM that is Kingpin.
That is the Kingpin. Because remember, in the earlier episode, Eleanor made a phone call, and I think that phone call was her putting the hit out.
Right.
And then Valentina
calls Vera.
Yeah.
So I think Valentina is like, she's got assassins ready on the wheel.
Yeah.
Like she's got different people, different Avengers, Dark Avengers.
I almost see her as like a headhunter.
She's just picking up assassin contracts
in the same way that she's going off and she's trying to recruit, U.S. agent.
Right.
Where it's like, it's not 100% just that she's off hiring assassins. She's off looking for the people who are willing to do the dirty work.
Yeah, I should have rephrased that. Maybe not just assassins, but all sorts of people that can do all sorts of jobs.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Okay, so that could get interesting. Okay.
Superhero type shit.
Yeah, because
dark.
Imagine if Kingpin could say he has his own Captain America.
Right.
And it is U.S. agent.
Yeah.
And it's basically him being like, yeah, I might not be the government, but I know what the people need.
You can get shit done with these people. Oh, I can't wait.
Nerdhauer. Question for you. Yeah. What do you think of what was your thoughts on Vincent D'Onofrio joining the MCU officially?
I agree. Yes, very telegraphed. They made so many different references, anywhere from the large white suited hand of quote unquote uncle interacting with young Echo, all the way back to the few times where it was like, well, I hope it doesn't get back to him. Et cetera, et cetera.
The big guy.
Yes.
The big guy. Yeah.
I will say some of the things that I have thought are, with a world in which we have defeated Thanos, why is the Kingpin scary?
Yeah.
I thought that too, because Clint fucking fought aliens and shit, and why is he so worried about getting the big guy involved?
But, I mean, that then becomes a question. If Clint has fought Thanos, and he's scared of the Kingpin, what does that mean?
Jesus.
Well, I think in that sense, I think the Kingpin is scary because he's somewhat untouchable.
Right.
In that you can send him to jail, and he's going to keep
and he'll run
out,
jail.
And he'll run jail, right?
Get out,
and if you kill him, there's never, even though you know that he's a bad guy, he's able to cover everything up so well that you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
There's no evidence.
So you can't kill him, and you can't tie anything.
Yeah,
to him.
it's that concept where Thanos is a black and white good versus evil villain. You can easily turn around and be like, it was an alien that was going to destroy half the universe, and people are like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But you go and you kill legitimate businessman Wilson Fisk,
right?
And you're like, no, he's the kingpin of crime. They're like, fucking bullshit, man. You guys have gone rogue.
Right.
He's probably got a lot of things under control.
I think it plays into the idea that Clint doesn't like that he's getting pulled into the gray area of everything.
Yeah, and I think also there's because his whole character motivation is he wants to get back to his family.
Yes.
And I don't think getting the Kingpin involved means that his family could potentially have to get
Very
involved.
true, which has something to do with the Rolex.
Oh, yes, the watch. Whose watch is it? They didn't even talk about the watch.
So here's
I think
my
it's Nick's
theory.
Go, let's hear it.
I think, I forget the name of his wife, but Linda Carlini.
Laura Barton.
Laura Barton. I believe Laura Barton used to be a part of the Kingpin's organization.
Oh.
And she left for Clint.
Oh.
And I feel like the Rolex is somehow tied to her being a part of that. Because if you notice, she knows an awful fucking lot.
She does.
About like New York's underground crime world.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows a lot.
Apparently has the connections she can make where she can make a call and find out that, you know, Jack is the CEO of the umbrella company that's funding the tracksuit mafia.
There's a transmitter to the watch that they have. She speaks German. Like, she knows a
I feel
lot
like
of
the
things.
watch is definitely connect. We've learned to this at this point that Hawkeye's wife, she was involved.
She did something.
Right. She's an agent.
So
of something.
I'm playing at the idea that I think it's something in the that's the other side. She might have been a fucking SHIELD agent, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that Laura Barton is in the John Wick school of I'm out.
Here's a theory, because we've kind of figured out that Agents of SHIELD isn't really a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What if Laura Barton, her real name was Bobby Morse?
That's what one of the rumors is. Yes,
and she was Mockingbird.
She was Mockingbird,
and she's now retired.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
okay,
they don't want.
I just came up with that right now. Yes,
I like that.
I saw that floating around, and they just
instead of having Adriana Palicki,
they don't want to protect that she was a SHIELD agent.
because in the comics, Hawkeye does date. I think he marries Bobby Morse.
He marries Mockingbird. They're like a thing. Yeah.
So
she would have been.
It.
Yeah. That might
be the reveal.
That might be it. Anyways, we got one more episode left. It's titled "The Boss." There's a trailer out. It will also
Bruce Springsteen?
be "The Boss is Coming." Yes, they're going to fight.
They were born
Bruce
to run,
Springsteen
baby.
And the E Street Band and Stephen Van Zandt.
Born in the USA.
Bruce Springsteen just exhausts them with a 12-hour concert of every song he's ever recorded, because that's what he does.
And I said I hate my uncle. Anyway, this is called The River.
Now that Ruggs isn't here, I feel like I had to take over making old references to music.
This final episode apparently is going to be the longest episode out of any Marvel TV show so far at 59 minutes.
Ooh.
So they got a lot to wrap up. Will he make it
6
home?
minutes of credits, though.
Well, it might be before the credits, but it's like 6 to 8 minutes of credits. Will he make it home for Christmas? Will all this shit be resolved? Probably not.
It's probably going to be. I mean, if we're going to make a quick prediction, I feel like this is, again, very telegraphed.
Okay.
But this is Hawkeye's swan song, right? Like, he's going to go back to his family
and
retire. The whole thing is now he can finally be happy with his family. Doesn't have to worry about Ronin bullshit.
Yeah.
Biting him in the ass. They're going to cover all that. And Kate Bishop obviously is going to do Hawkeye. I feel like with 6 episodes, they still have a lot to kind of tie up.
Yes, they do.
Like I said, man,
I don't know if it'll be wholly satisfying.
Even with 1 hour left, we're going to be sitting on a cliffhanger at the end of this, and we're going to get we will return in Hawkeye season 2.
So there's still the Rockefeller scene we haven't seen, the scene where he's at the party and he's running. There's a bunch of things we haven't seen.
Not only that, but just the loose ends that need to be tied up.
Everybody has to fight the Kingpin. Like Maya's got to come after him, and and then they got to deal with Yelena.
You got to deal with Yelena and her thing. You got to deal with Kingpin. You got to deal with Echo. You got to deal with
Eleanor and Kate.
Right, Eleanor and Kate and
Jack,
the swordsman. Yep,
what happens
Jack,
to Jack? There's so much shit. How are they going to fucking close this up?
This is very much. This was a season built to tease at a second season. Which, why, when I was talking about earlier, there's a comparison I wanted to make.
Okay.
Comparing this to the first season of Daredevil when it hit Netflix.
Okay.
In the fact that you are dealing with a very similar street-level crime involving the same bad guy. But the problem you had was Marvel on Netflix was a gamble. And so the first season of Daredevil had to tell one complete story in case, God forbid, Netflix went, yeah, never mind, we're not doing a season 2.
Which they do all the time.
The problem was that with Disney Plus, it is Disney making Disney property for the Disney streaming service.
Right.
They have all the leeway in the world to make the first season of a TV show that says, and you're gonna have to tune in next year.
Here's half of the story.
In fact, Disney wants that, right? Like they need content.
It's
so
why
be like,
they brought back the weekly release schedule. Because Netflix was built on the whole binge it so you see the whole season in a weekend. So that you get hooked. But Disney said, well, but if I give you an entire season of a show in one weekend, you'll get the free trial, watch the show, and cancel. If it comes out every week, you can't possibly get away with 1 month free trial and see everything you want.
It's a good strategy. Do you think we'll ever get concurrent shows playing out throughout the week? So far, they're doing one show one day at a time.
I don't think so. Because I think, now, I don't know, but I think what they really like is they don't like the idea of competing with themselves.
That's true, because, after this ends...
the whole point is, you should watch this on Wednesday when it comes out, but what if I don't get to it until Saturday?
Yeah. Well.
So I'm going to get to it on Saturday, but I also have to decide, am I going to watch Hawkeye or am I going to watch, the Book of Boba Fett?
Right. Yeah. So they're going to...
There potentially could be a world, I see them, where they might do like a Wednesday, Thursday.
I would love like a Marvel day and a Star Wars day, you know?
If anything, I would say,
that'll happen.
Make Wednesday Marvel and make Friday Star Wars.
I would be okay with that. I like that.
No, I thought you were asking if they would do competing MCU shows.
Well, yeah, that would
they're
be
definitely going to have Marvel, and at some point, like, there's just too many things.
Yeah, they have a lot that they want to do.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel alone, there's like 15 TV shows that are coming out in the next 2 years.
But yeah, if you to make it like, Monday's going to be Loki season 2, and then Wednesday's going to be Hawkeye, and then Friday's going to be Cap and Winter Soldier or whatever again. Like, it's going to get to a point where it's this is so much overload.
And it's going to be hard to tie it into the movies back to the TV shows.
I can't even possibly watch, Cap and Bucky, because whatever happens there is tied to what happened 2 days ago in the episode of Hawkeye. Like, there is a chance that you can really just kind of fuck yourself by doing too much.
That's a good point. Stay focused. I don't know, Disney. You're doing good, though. Next week, last episode, and then Book of Boba Fett starts at the end of December, which I'm also excited for. But let's take a break here. We're gonna play some promos. We're gonna come back.
We should just end the show here
and geek out. Oh no,
this has been 3 hours, right?
We're not done. We got a lot of.
We got nothing else to talk about.
No. We can talk about Spider-Man 2 or whatever on Patreon. They can pay for that.
I mean, I feel like we went a little long. We went almost an hour on Hawkeye. Like, we could just end it.
5-10 minutes on Spider-Man and we're fine.
Peep you later, listeners. We'll check you. No, listen, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, see if we talk about Spider-Man. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Right after this.
I'll just say this, listener. We're going to go for at least 7 hours today.
Strap in.
I hope that you packed a fucking lunch.
That's why I'm wearing diapers.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention podcast listeners and YouTube watchers. I'm Logan, the host of Mostly Superheroes, a weekly pursuit for the world's best stories with an emphasis on live-action superhero stuff. Every week, join me, PC Mike, The Giggler, Scotty Scoop, and Carrie as we talk MCU, DCU, books, TV, movies, and more. MostlySuperheroes.com is where you want to be. Watch us on YouTube, listen where you get your podcast, and we'll see you Sunday on Patreon. Enjoy the rest of the show.
It's not just any day. It's Mr. Throwback Thursday.
Hey, this is Jamie.
And this is Bill, and we are the Mr. Throwback Thursday podcast.
Do you remember when the wheels were steel and the beats were real?
We do, and we talk about it every Thursday.
You can check out Woo News, One and Done, Record of the Week, and a whole lot more.
That's Mr. Throwback Thursday, keeping it classic on iTunes, Stitcher, and at highvoltageradio.com.
And always remember, new school stale, old school fresh.
Jock and Nerd.
Listener, if you enjoy the show and want to support and show your support and show your love, join our fan club. Visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jock and Nerd.
Where you can monetarily support us on a monthly or annual basis, and you get stuff. You get our love and appreciation and thanks. But you also get an extra RSS feed, an exclusive podcast feed where the shows come out early. We put out all our instant reactions to Spider-Man No Way Home. You heard it there first, right as I recorded, right in my car, right after seeing the movie. Did you do it in your car, Anthony?
We did.
Yeah, see? Come out of the movie, right in the car. I love doing it in my car. Portable recording studio.
In the back seat?
No, well, if you want to stretch out, you got to go in the back seat. But the seats go down,
He doesn't understand what you did.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. There's bonus content there. And there's certain tiers that have Discord benefits. You can join us for our monthly Patreon exclusive Discord hangout. We do these every month. This month is this week. December's hangout. Thursday, December 23rd.
This week.
It's tomorrow as the show posts. This month's hangout is this week, 8 p.m. Central. Thursday, December 23rd. Join us. We're going to be talking about this movie that we're about to review. Of course, more. I want to know what you think. Delhauer, you're welcome to come to these things too. If you want the Discord server, I'll hook you up.
Give you the God, I would love it.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll get.
I might not make this month, but I would love it.
Yeah, no, you're in. I would love to have you there. Maybe we'll get Bilotti. Maybe we get Dope Pope. Everybody, the regulars. It's always fun.
Man, I can't wait to get yelled at by the regulars.
Yeah, they're gonna love yelling at you. jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Sign up today. Okay. Holy shit. Here it is. The movie's out.
Hit the button.
Holy shit.
Oh, shit.
I can't believe Spider-Man No Way Home. Listener, you definitely want to watch the movie before listening to our review. It's going to be spoilers. Here's your spoiler alert.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Prepare to be spoiled!
I believe it's pronounced Spiderman.
That's a Mandela effect on my own part. I thought the line was, before we get started, does anybody want to get off?
Oh, no, it's get out.
Which upsets me because I was definitely going to make the joke of, I absolutely want to get off.
I like your line better.
Thank you, Captain America.
That's what it should be, Steve
He's
Rogers.
wholesome, though.
That doesn't mean he's not daddy.
Oh my God. Spider-Man No Way Home, the 27th film in the MCU. We are living in a world where there's now 8 solo Spider-Man movies. Is
it the 27th MCU film
It's the
or
20
the 32nd?
Well, if you count the TV shows.
No, I'm talking about if you count
now,
the movies that have suddenly become canon.
That is a discussion we need to have. Where does it start? I don't know.
just wanted to throw you through a loop there.
But also, dude, if you're a Spider-Man fan, there's 11 movie appearances of Spider-Man and 8 solo movies, 11 appearances. What a fucking time to be alive.
He only dies in one of them.
He only dies one. That's good. Yeah. But then there's other ones, so it doesn't matter. There's plenty of Spidermans to go around. On the Rotten Tomatoes, this thing holding a 94% rating, 7.9 out of 10 average rating for the critics, 99% verified audience rating. The movie, which was made for $200 million, we gave out our box office estimates last week. Oh, we all underbid. Holy shit. Opening weekend, it makes a staggering $260 million.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit. I almost...
Third all time behind Endgame and Infinity War.
We'll talk about all the records.
During a pandemic.
Who was closest without going over?
Well, I almost nailed it when I was like, I think it'll triple Venom, and then I walked it back to double. So 180.
You should when you said triple, we made fun of you.
I know, because I got the math wrong, and I was like 270, but that was fucking.
But you would have been right.
I thought
I
it was
think Ruggs
crazy.
was closest, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say over 200?
Yeah, he said over 200.
I said 175.
Unbelievable.
Honestly, man, when I went to go buy these tickets, I went to go buy them 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I had to get a showing Saturday at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I could find 2 seats next to each other to take my fucking brother to this movie.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, I would
stories.
have laughed at the idea that would have done 170.
Right. We all saw it multiple times. I mean, I bought 2 tickets.
What's it at worldwide?
Worldwide, it's just a hair over $600 million already.
Oh, shit.
I mean,
this shit's going to $1 billion before Saturday.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, we were debating if it was going to go for $1 billion.
It didn't get a China release. Yeah. If this thing's going to hit $1.5 billion, it'll be like $800 million by the end of the week.
My roommate made the joke about this being the super spreader Spider-Man movie. And
it kind of is, because I was like...
I'll say this. I went to I've gone to 3 showings.
Oh shit! You've seen it 3 times already.
I've seen it 3 times already. I went today.
Oh my god!
At 4:00.
Yeah,
and that showing was pretty packed.
Yeah,
on a Monday.
I felt so bad for the guy sitting next to me at the showing Saturday morning. This guy had to be like 6'5".
Oh no!
And he is sitting in this standard movie theater seat.
Oh no, the tiny one
in the fucking. And here's the thing: it's in the IMAX theater at the AMC by me.
Yeah,
but like they don't do the whole like big recliner seat bullshit.
No.
So he had to sit there for like 2 hours and 45 minutes with his knees pressed against the seat behind him, to the point that in the 3rd act he is spending the entire time rubbing his knees. Because I'm sure his feet were fucking falling asleep.
Let's just continue. Not on tall guys that have to sit in seats.
No, let's do that.
Okay.
No, I'm saying the theater, like the theater's experiences we all had, like what kind of crowd.
Yeah.
So building off of that, I've as mentioned seen it 3 times. I didn't like the movie at all.
You had to make
I went Thursday night at a 9:00 showing, and that was like apex experience.
Yeah,
like
that was the Thursday.
Super intense crowd.
Yes.
By the way, Imran, I did not go to the Village Crossing.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
We switched up. I had to go to the Regal in Logan Square. So.
Okay.
But super intense crowd, clapping at all the right moment. Like just like the energy was amazing. Then I saw it Saturday morning because that was the only tickets my friends could get. That crowd was still pretty into it. Also at that Regal in Logan Square.
Yeah.
Already that like at 10 a.m. the like concession stand, there was energy at 10 a.m. for like with the concession stands and all that. And then as mentioned, I saw it again today, Monday at 4. But a little bit younger of a crowd, not as like cheery,
less cheering, right?
But still cheery.
Yeah.
Like all 3 crowds obviously got progressively less cheery, but there were still like moments in the movie, obviously, that we'll go over that prompted responses.
Same thing. Thursday, I saw it Thursday evening. That was the most times an audience has cheered in a movie I've been in a long time. Multiple times. Great energy. And then I saw it Sunday afternoon. Less cheery. Some of the bigger moments still, there was applauses and gasps, but it wasn't. That Thursday was amazing. That was just
Thursday
an amazing.
Was an amazing experience for me.
You've
only seen it once?
I only saw it once. I only saw it on Saturday. I contemplated trying to see if I could get into it again today. But then work wound up running late, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to go see the movie, get dinner, and be ready for the podcast in time.
I'm glad you sacrificed.
So I said, never mind. I'll see it once, and I'll be that guy. The Saturday morning crowd was definitely a mix of families and young kids and people in their 20s and 30s who just couldn't get earlier tickets. I would say the first big moment that there was any kind of cheers or anything of that nature was the bridge fight with Doc Ock. That was the point where I had the 6'5" guy next to me and his friend who was with him. Was when I first started getting the "oh shits" from them during a fight.
Shit.
Let me just break down these numbers though real quick, because this is fucking crazy shit. With that $260 million opening, by the end of Friday, It already made $121 million with the Thursday previews. That is the second best opening day in the history of domestic box office. It is obviously the biggest pandemic opening. Second best domestic opening ever, sitting in between Endgame and Infinity War. Third biggest worldwide opening. The biggest worldwide opening of all time for Sony's Columbia Pictures. The biggest December opening of all time. It is now one of 8 movies that has opened above $200 million domestic.
Oh, shit.
Those are some fucking crazy records, right?
The one thing I will request as we go through talking about the movie is that we all point out when we get to it the moment that we had the biggest crowd reaction in our theaters.
Okay. That's fair. Yes, I remember that. This movie, directed by the same team that did the other 2 movies. John Watts directing, written by Chris McKenna, Eric Summers. Same creative team for all 3 movies. It's important. We'll get into the cast. You know who's in the fucking movie. They've been in all the movies. You're Tom Holland, you're Zendaya. Anthony, plot me on this one. How would you explain what happens in this movie?
So the movie picks up right where we left off with Far From Home, where Spider-Man has been revealed to be Peter Parker, and Mysterio has framed him, and J. Jonah Jameson's going nuts. So Peter Parker, revealed as Spider-Man, he's in a pickle here because everyone is not only like trying to get up in his business, but they're getting up in his friend's business, his family's business, and half the people think he's a murderer. Yeah. So he's kind of stuck in a bind here, not only just for himself, but more so because of his friends and the plight they're going through. So he decides to talk to Doctor Strange about reversing this thing, and they can't do it with the Time Stone, so they talk about doing a forgetting spell, and in the midst of the forgetting spell, Peter Parker screws it up, and all the villains come over from the multiverse, and ripples happen, and there's madness because now there are villains from different Spider-Man universes that have to be cleaned up and sent packing and go home. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Opening thoughts. Who wants to go first? Our guest, Delhauer?
Okay.
He's our guest.
I hate how much I fucking loved this movie. This was some of the most fun I have had in a movie theater in a long time. This is probably the most comic book movie I have ever seen since Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie has done so much more for the live-action comic book movie and the live-action Spider-Man movie than I have seen in the past. And it has done things I never expected I would be able to feel, such as saying Andrew Garfield might have been the best part of this whole fucking movie.
Isn't that amazing to think about how great he was?
Beyond that, I could easily nitpick some things and pick on, plot holes or whatever it is. But the truth of the matter is, this is a movie that took the Disney reactionary style of filmmaking to fan response and actually used that mixed with nostalgia and did it in a way that was not insulting.
Yeah.
Did it in a way that it enhanced the characters and the story, and it wasn't
to the point
just a
that,
fucking cash grab.
It felt like by the end of this movie, we have had the most Spider-Man version of Spider-Man on film.
Fucking amazing, Anthony.
I mean, I agree with everything Nerdhauer said. I like that I'm referring to him as Nerdhauer.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. This movie, first off, was an amazing experience. Awesome experience. I haven't felt like that since Endgame, which has only been 2 years.
Yeah.
But with COVID, that's felt like a lifetime ago. An amazing theater experience. As Nerdhauer's mentioned, the movie, I will say the movie has a very clunky setup that you can poke a lot of holes in. And people are acting in ways because the plot wants them to act that way. And if they just had a conversation, none of this would have happened. And there's lots of holes there that you could point at and try to patch up that would have been better. But the second half of this movie, once the villains come over and they start interacting, and you get all the surprises and the moments and the emotion. I mean, the second half of this movie is so awesome and so friggin' good and so emotional, and much more emotional than you would expect, and much, you talk about fan service. This was fan service done right. Yeah. It was meant to progress Peter Parker's character, Tom Holland's character, and by the end of the film, I was left with just so many different emotions of happiness, yet sadness, yet fatigue, just tired from the film. Like, I'd run through the gamut of emotions you could run through a possible film, and the movie accomplished what a lot of people, including like Rug Boy and maybe a little bit of some of us, have been saying, in that this version of Peter Parker we've been getting, he's good, but he's really just teenage superhero. He's not Peter Parker. But by the end of this film, he is transformed into a Peter Parker that everybody can recognize, and a Peter Parker that a character that's much better placed for the future, or if you just want to end it right here.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a great place. So we can jump into all the like moments throughout this film, but I'll say it was a freaking awesome experience. It's probably a better, like the film, if you want to like really critique it, the film has its issues, but the way it made me feel was so amazing, pun intended, that I can look over all of that, and I love the fucking movie. It's so good. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, I was squealing in my seat like a little girl for most of this movie. And then when it was, I was just like, wow, they fucking did it. They did a live action Spider-Verse. Turns out we were watching a 3-movie origin story of Peter Parker. At the end of it, they fucking fixed everything that we were complaining about. Leave him where I wanted him in the beginning, but now we have him at a place where he is on his own and he's an adult and a new beginning. And like, you're right, you could recast him, or you could go with Tom Holland. Like, there's so many things, but dude,
or you could just leave it.
Or you could just leave it and do another story. But this is like, and they pulled an Endgame, whereas Endgame was 10 years of culmination payoff. This is literally 20 years of Spider-Man movies on screen, and the way they made a tribute and honored these characters and enhanced these characters. And of course, the big surprise, the Sony didn't put in their marketing. Everybody knows Toby and Andrew. The thing they did with both of them, especially with Andrew Garfield, who got a shit second movie, and his parts made me cry. Literally brought me to tears every time he's talking about the shit he went through. But even John Watts, I got to hand it to him. His direction became more confident every movie. That one shot of Peter in the rain is great. And Tom Holland got so much better. He's so great in this role. And like you said, it was fan service cameos, but it was more than cameos. They were integral to the plot. In fact, Willem Dafoe was like, I don't want to come back as Green Goblin if it's just a cameo. I want a bigger part, and I want to do my own stunts. And and I wasn't expecting Toby and Andrew to be in it that much, but the minute they get in, I love that whole back half of the movie, that third act.
Let's do it like this, because this movie is so jam-packed with things.
So much shit happens. Happens in this movie.
That I think, Imran, although I hate when we do this, I think in this movie, we should just recap the plot and talk about it.
Okay.
Like, in order of things happening, because if we jump to the end, like, it's going to go all over.
It's going to be so hard. So let's start with
the beginning.
The 2-minute, and it was like a one-take shot, if you notice, in the apartment as Happy and Aunt May have broken up, and Tom's there taking his clothes off. I love that 2-minute shot, but this is where it starts and leading into the MIT situation. I also love this, that it's fucking up his friends' lives.
Well, there was also a fun little bit there with Aunt May walking in, and it looked like they're having sex.
He's in his bedroom, and he's unclothed, and she's not. It's, God, I'm so sorry, but also I hope you're being safe.
Yes, right. Are you safe? And then she's like, "Oh, MJ, hi, how are
you must be MJ."
Yeah, you must be. Which is like spot on for the character, like they were doing.
Oh, they never met before, yeah.
They never met, but it's like, this is the teenage Peter Parker.
It took me to that moment that I realized May and MJ have never met in person.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the first time she meets her.
That's crazy. So he does he gets not arrested, but you see Department of Damage Control.
They arrest him.
Easter. Yeah, they do arrest him.
No, they do arrest him. So, I think there's a certain part of this whole entire first act that we need to get to right away. It may have been spoiled for some people, and I feel bad that it was. But there is a cameo in this movie. Very similar to the fact that we got Vincent D'Onofrio in Hawkeye.
Yep.
This is very early, and this came so quick and early.
This was the first moment my theater cheered.
Me too. This was the first big cheer.
When you see the stick, when you see the walking stick and then it's red and it pans up and it's Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
Holy shit!
It's my crowd went wild.
Yeah, right away.
It's a wholly unnecessary cameo. It's actually the most fan servicey thing they did in the entire movie.
I'm gonna argue this with you right here.
Okay.
I don't consider this one fan servicey for the fact that having Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock show up to be the lawyer of superheroes as he is in the comics
makes sense.
This is the world of Marvel. It makes it a living and breathing world in the fact that we are now accepting the idea that when Spider-Man is being brought to court, Matt Murdock makes it his point to be the lawyer.
Well, the only thing I'd say is not that I didn't like it, but the Matt Murdock that we've established in Netflix is a lawyer for poor people.
Oh,
he's a lawyer for people that. Well, no, they're staying with Happy Hogan.
But Happy Hogan is rich. Happy Hogan might have money. They don't. And he actively tells Happy to get his own lawyer when he's in trouble.
He's fair. Like, you're going to need a good lawyer.
I thought it was a little fan servicey, but I loved it.
Well,
Don't get me
especially
wrong.
because I'm a very good lawyer moment.
Oh, that's such a great brick comes through.
I think that was actually the first time when I had people freak out in the theater. There was a few people who recognized that it was Charlie Cox and he was playing Matt Murdock, but when he caught the brick that got hurled through the window of the apartment, that was when you had people go, oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah, our theater right away, the minute he popped on, people were ready. Like, it's so interesting what people react to, because I'm wondering how many people didn't know any of this was going to happen at all.
I knew it was kind of going to happen, but it was still like
No, I was hoping.
I didn't have that spoiled for me.
No, I didn't either. I was hoping they were going to do it, and then for them to do it so early in the movie, I was like, oh, shit, it's Charlie Cox. Okay.
I didn't have Charlie Cox spoiled for me in a way where, like, somebody posted a thing that was like, hey, look at Charlie Cox on the set. What it got spoiled for me in a TikTok video reacting to the idea that it got spoiled.
Oh, no.
And I was like scrolling,
God.
and it was literally a sketch where it was like the guy was playing, somebody who worked for the marketing team for Marvel, and then he also walks in playing Kevin Feige, being like, you fucking ruined the fact that Charlie Cox is in the movie. And I was like, oh, I guess that leaked then. Great.
Yeah, I heard TikTok was a bad place to be.
Once we got into the week before the movie came out, I had to delete it off my phone.
The whole end scene, like 10 minutes of that battle, is on YouTube, like straight up YouTube. Like a third of the movie is already on YouTube. You could it has Korean subtitles, I think. And
so here's the thing that I will
in
ask.
English.
If anybody knows where I can find it, I want to find. Now, this is jumping very far ahead, but just because it's on my mind, and with ADHD, I won't remember it later. I want someone to find me the mid-credit scene again.
Yeah.
Because the character who shows up in that, the accent he has in that scene, is not only does it feel like it is different from what we have heard previously from this character.
It probably is.
It sounds exactly like somebody else. And I remember being in the theater, and when I was in the theater, I said, that sounds like somebody. And now, for the life of me, I can't remember who it was. Moving forward, let's continue.
So, you want to do the narration, Imran, or
no? Where are we going to go next? We find out MJ's last name is Watson for whatever.
No, that doesn't matter. Yeah. Who cares?
Didn't we know that?
Easter egg. No, they never said it.
Oh. Well, technically, her last name is Jones Watson.
Jones Watson.
Yeah. So, as Imran mentions, the thing that really puts this over the top is that his friends can't get an MIT, which I liked.
Yeah, I love that.
It's not about Peter. Yeah. It's about his friends, really. So he goes to Doctor Strange to cast a spell, as I mentioned in my synopsis. This is probably the weakest part of the movie in terms of like actual plot, because he goes to Doctor Strange. He asks first to reverse time, and Doctor Strange is like, dude, the only time we reversed time was like we needed to save the universe.
You wanna do it
not for your fucking thing here.
By the way, I don't even have it anymore.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have the stone.
But then they go to this forgetting spell, which arguably could be a worse violation of human rights. To just be like, we're going to erase people's memory.
This is one of those things where, like, these are those moments when the UN needs to get involved. Like, we created the Sokovia Accords because a country got pulled out of the ground and dropped to the Earth as a meteor. This is literally deciding we're going to brainwash the globe.
Right. So we get into this spell. Obviously, Peter Parker is screwing it up because they don't have a conversation beforehand about the parameters of this spell.
It's like, stop doing this mid-cast. It's not helpful.
If they would have just talked.
Right.
Well, first, I mean,
if we had a kickoff meeting.
Right. Where, like, you can kind of be like, okay, Peter's a kid and he's impulsive,
but
so
Strange
maybe.
should have been fucking known better.
But Doctor Strange should have definitely known better.
Who is not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
The only other thing I could think is because he's not Sorcerer Supreme anymore for having been blipped for 5 years, he's butthurt at the idea that he doesn't have any real authority.
Yes.
So this is his chance to show off again at how great he is at what he does, and dives in headfirst just to be that bitch.
That's a very Doctor Strange thing to do.
I almost buy it. It's by all accounts, it's the worst part.
Yeah.
It's a very clunky setup to get to multiverse.
It's a rough way to get to a story.
Yeah,
but this is the spell that breaks everything.
So this is the spell breaks reality. Doctor Strange then goes, you could have just talked to them.
He's like, wait, I could do that?
Did you ever think about calling MIT?
You didn't call them before you decided to brainwash the universe?
Now, which is another, like, Doctor, you could have just told him that.
Yeah.
Very quick point that got brought up on YouTube, again, from Mr. Sunday Movies. Okay. In this universe...
Aussies.
Yeah, in this universe, do you know who the most renowned graduate of MIT is?
It's Howard Stark.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark. You're telling me that the kid who had an internship at Tony's company,
they're not gonna let you in just because of this
go
shit
and maybe
now?
talk to Pepper Potts and say, hey, can you call MIT and say, like, maybe you'll offer a brand new wing to their science department if they make Spider-Man and his friends alumni?
Probably.
He's got to save the admissions lady.
Like, he's got so many connections, and his first idea is magic.
Well, that... Yeah, not only that, but then, like, his next idea is, well, I'm going to talk to the dean. Well, the dean's not there. I'm going to find her on the highway.
I'm going to go track her down on the way to the
How
airport.
do you find someone on the New York Expressway like that?
But,
I don't know.
So that's, okay, so this is a setup to bring in Doc Ock.
And Strange says the spell didn't work, right?
Yeah, he says he contained it before it caused any damage.
Yeah, and he puts it in a little prism, like we saw in What If.
So this next moment is when my crowd also went wild.
This was a cheer moment, absolutely.
But I want to point out, this is the first time they establish what is going to be important later, which is they're immersing you in his spider sense.
Yeah.
Where they make a noise and the sound kind of looks a little off.
I have to say, I love the way they handle spider sense in these movies.
Yeah, it's just like a high pitched frequency ringing.
The hair standing on end in Infinity War.
Yeah,
I did like, but like the high pitched frequency. Yeah. Where he just suddenly realizes, like, oh, shit's wrong right now.
Yeah, everything just
I thought is so well done.
I like that. I agree. I think it's well done because it makes you, as an audience member, feel what he's feeling.
Exactly.
But you're also kind of disoriented.
Because it's a sound where when you hear it, you're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. So there's obviously something going on.
Dude, Alfred Molina looked great. This is a brutal Doc Ock. He starts smashing things right away. He's just like, where's my machine? And Peter's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's the Doc Ock when he's still...
When the
mind controlled
when the
AI.
The neural chip is broken, and he's so mad, and he's so good, and he's hilarious when he's mad, and then some of the lines he has later, he's just like, "Who is this clown? What is this birthday party? What's going on here?" But the whole nanotech bit was also hilarious. That he sucked the nanotech, and then Peter's suit is just like new device detected. Do you want a pair?
Yeah,
and he just
he
pairs it like a
Bluetooth
Bluetooth.
pairs to the
So
arms.
good.
This moment, so this leading into the reveal of Green Goblin.
That was another cheer moment.
That was a cheer moment for me as well. Not for me personally, but my crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But this, both of those moments, and this was, again, this isn't spoiler. This is all on the trailer.
Yep.
But in those two moments, I literally looked at my friend and I go, this is surreal.
Yeah, it's wild.
And it's surreal because similar, I'm sure Nerdhauer can relate, like those early Spider-Man movies were in our teens.
Yeah.
Early,
The original Spider-Man movie came out when I was 13 years old.
It's 20 years ago. Yeah.
Those are like, those movies like wrote the blueprint for like what was to come. Yeah. And those movies were like treading new lands. Like we'd never thought we would see Spider-Man on the big screen like that.
To the point that one of the things I thought when we get, like, I'll skip ahead for a second just to kind of jump onto Anthony's point. When we get all the way towards the third act and we are at the Statue of Liberty, and there's a moment where Spider-Man like web swings his way up to the top of the Statue of Liberty. He does this bit where he webs to the spike of the crown and does like a wraparound and lands on the spike of the crown. And I looked at my brother and I said, that's a shot from the original X-Men movie.
Oh.
That's when fucking Wolverine is fighting Sabretooth on the top of the Liberty, on top of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. And he like spins around.
And I immediately went, oh my God, are they going to bring the X-Men into this movie?
I thought that for a hot second.
Now, granted,
didn't happen.
Spoiler alert, no, they don't. No. But what they had done in this movie up until that point, fucking anything was possible by now.
That's true.
And that is exactly what you feel when you're in that bridge fight, is that not only do they bring in Doc Ock, and yes, the trailers revealed Doc Ock's going to be in this movie. The trailers reveal, we're going to get the Green Goblin. The big thing about that bridge fight that is so surreal but also so engaging is the choreography of the fight we get. The fights between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2 are awesome, but they are limited by the technology of what they could make in a film in 2004.
Right.
Versus what 2021 can do with the technology and the CGI, this shit was mind-blowing on how they could have the two of them interact in this battle.
I mean, it's all, and it's crazy is Melina had like actual puppet arms. That's how they had to do it. And he's like, no, this time, of course, it's all CGI, but it looks so
It looks
good.
like, and that's the thing. I will admit, at times it feels like, the CGI kind of takes away the weight and the realism of some things. But again, it's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I'm not here for realism. If I was, I would have been yelling about the fact that this kid got bit by a spider who was radioactive. That would have killed him. I don't care. This shit is literally taking moments from my childhood, both in the movies and the comic books that I have read, and they are now coming to life in front of me on a giant fucking screen. So I am 32 years old sitting in this movie theater, and I feel like I'm 9.
Oh my God.
So, at this point, Green Goblin is about to appear.
And this is like the only time we see him in his full...
And you see him in the Power Ranger outfit.
and it's not long. He's approaching.
No, it's not long, but... Then Doctor Strange comes in and basically gets you out of that moment. So you don't get your Green Goblin fight there. And this is the part where we learn that multiversal characters are coming over, and because the spell got screwed up, it's now anybody that knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man is coming over, which is a little bit of a plot hole because Electro never found that out in his movie.
We talk about it in the movie.
Yeah, he mentions it in the movie.
Yeah, he didn't know that either, but we'll allow
it's
it.
Fine.
So the mission now of the movie at this point is Peter Parker's got to clean this up, or as they call it, Scooby-Doo this shit.
If I may quote my girlfriend Bonner, here comes the plot.
And Peter's going to do this with his team of Ned and MJ, and we get a little tease here that Ned is magical. He makes a little reference to Doctor Strange that his grandma had said that they always had magic in the family. And Doctor Strange just completely blows him off.
Yeah. Like a white man would.
Yes.
So this is the point where, okay, Spider-Man's going to collect the villains. And we meet Electro again. We meet Sandman.
I love how he meets Sandman because Flint is helping him in the beginning.
Great.
He goes,
Great.
it's me, Flint. What's going on?
So the question that I have is this. So far, what we have come to find is Doc Ock pulled from the past, or pulled from a different dimension, I should say, at a point where it's probably around the time of the warehouse fight at the end of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's when he said he had him by the throat, and then he was there.
Green Goblin, as far as we can tell, obviously before he died in Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit before that, who knows?
One real quick thing. The Lizard has shown up as well.
Right. He's already been
Lizard.
pulled in, which, by the way, all right, so another quick question for you guys. Do you prefer the way Lizard looks in this movie compared to Amazing Spider-Man?
I thought the Lizard kind of looked like shit in this movie. I was like, why does the Lizard look like shit in this movie? They could have made him look a little, I don't know.
He looked okay to
It's
me.
all
The only difference I noticed was he had red eyes instead of yellow.
Yeah, I felt like, as they did with a lot of stuff in that first Amazing Spider-Man movie, he was definitely darker looking.
Yeah.
In just coloration in general. I do think I liked him better in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway,
it doesn't really matter.
We then learn in a little bit that basically the moment that Electro gets pulled into the this universe is like right at the end of his moment in
He comes
Amazing
in
Spider-Man
blue,
2.
and I love it. He comes in blue.
Yeah.
And the energy changes it to yellow, and he digs the energy here, and that part's crazy.
The question I have is, with Flint Marko, is this like right after Spider-Man 3?
Well, because he die.
No, I think it's right at the end when Flint and Toby both have that conversation, and Flint goes, "I didn't basically kill your dad or your Uncle Ben,
or I didn't mean to, or whatever it was."
Yeah, right. Because you're getting a Flint Marko that's obviously been
and that because that's the thing is when he first shows up, he's like, "Hey, it's me, it's Flint Marko. I'm here to help you." And he's like, "Oh, cool, great, let's work together."
He's like, "I'm not your Spider-Man."
And then it's like the moment that he reveals, like, "Oh, I'm not the same Peter Parker." He's like, "I don't fucking trust you."
Well, then he has to zap him back.
Well, there's a little moment there that I liked that reveals Flint's distrust because Peter zaps Electro and Flint goes,
"Did you kill him?
Did you kill him?
What did you do with him? Yeah.
What did you do with him?" And he's like, "You got to trust me." He's like, "I don't trust you. I don't even know you."
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm like, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a nice line right there. And then obviously they get zapped over.
I will say another one of my favorite lines from this movie. So when he's fighting Electro and he's trying to figure out how to take him out, he goes to initially hit him with the Doctor Strange, transport gun that's on his wrist,
right?
And it goes right through him because he's just pure energy.
Yeah,
and it grabs a tree, and the tree gets immediately transported into the jail cell back in the dungeon. And then later on, after they finally get Electro, and then he gets Sandman, and most of them are revealing, "I was a scientist who accidentally turned myself into a monster." You then have Ned message Spider-Man. He's like, is this just a tree, or is it a tree monster? Was it a scientist who turned himself into a tree?
Dude. It's just a tree. Is it Groot?
Just tree man.
Oh,
just a tree man. But
it's just a
when
tree.
They're all captured and they all get to talk, I love a lot of these
banter
moments.
is so good.
Oh
So,
my God, it's so
now
good.
that we've gotten to Electro, here's the first thing that I will say as the one who brought Amazing Spider-Man 2 to the forefront for your podcast.
What the fuck happened?
Okay.
This is such a different Max.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
I don't even remember his last name.
Dylan?
Dylan. Max Dylan.
Dillon, yeah.
Why is he cool all of a sudden?
This is the fact where they've decided we're just going to go ahead and let Jamie Foxx decide who his character is.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we'll talk about it more as we get throughout the movie, but it's one of those things where they have found a way to make it that everybody in this movie is not only having fun, but likes the character they're playing.
Right.
And I think I'll talk about it at the end when we start comparing to a few other things. But I think that is one of the major differences you see. Jamie Foxx is having fun.
Yeah, he's having
in
a good
this
time
movie.
in this one. I mean,
let me piggyback on that just real quick, and I'll probably bring it up again later. But I think they did a really good job of not maybe or just the collective cast. All seems like they decided, hey, like this is kind of like a special movie for a lot of people. And we're not just going to collect paychecks. Like, we're all going to act. We're all going to get after
Funny
it.
enough, that's exactly what I was going to bring up later on. It feels like when you go back and you look at Amazing Spider-Man 2, that was a movie in which an entire cast said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this movie so we can get paid.
Yeah.
Because the studio said, we're going to go ahead and make this movie so we can hold on to the rights for this character. You then get into this movie, and it's very obvious that everyone involved is not here because they're getting paid enough money, except maybe Tobey Maguire. But they're all, a lot of them, 99.9% of the people who are on this movie are here because not only are they getting paid, they enjoy the movie, they enjoy the script, they enjoy the people making it, and they are enjoying doing it.
Yeah. They trusted the creators and the creative.
Speaking of someone enjoying doing it,
Dafoe was fucking having a ball.
So Willem Dafoe gets revealed here, more without his mask, and he is back to Norman, and he's looking for help. And I love the scene where he finds Aunt May because he sees a Spider-Man sign at that feast joint, and that's the only place he knows that he could maybe get some help. And he's having a conversation with Aunt May, and he's super lost. And you learn again, you relearn like how tragic that character is in this scene, because he's so lost. Like, he's so lost because the Goblin persona takes over, but he's even more lost now because he's in a different fucking universe.
Oscorp doesn't exist. There's somebody in my house.
The moment that got me is he says Oscorp doesn't exist. There's somebody living in my house,
son.
and then there's a pause. He goes, "My son."
Yeah, he just says,
and then
my
he
son.
can't even bring himself to finish the statement of like, "My son doesn't exist."
Yeah,
it's a great little scene of character, and this is where May starts to become Uncle Ben, right? Because she says to Peter, he's lost, and it's not the cosmos; he's lost in his mind. And Peter brings up how they just got to send him back, and she's like, "Send him back? Like, no, you got to help them. Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "No, this is what's best." He's like, "What's best for you, or what's best for them?"
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
plants that seed. Yeah.
In the background of that scene,
he's stealing all
Willem
the food.
Dafoe doing
He's
some of the
pocketing
greatest
food like
improv comedy as he is pocketing bagels.
He's sticking bagels. By the way, this is also the point where they're making Willem Dafoe look more close to the Goblin of the comics.
Got a purple hoodie.
Because he's got a purple hoodie and a
Big
green overcoat.
green
It looks
trench
great.
coat that he's wearing.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
I mean,
looks
it
great.
ended up looking great. So when they bring him back to all the others, this, like you said, she plants the seed. And, at this point, Strange has built the box with the spell to send them back. But Peter's like, no, we can cure them. We can help them. We should help them.
Wait, before you get into that, the banter.
Oh, the banter's great.
Between the villains, and the fact that, like, the bond that Octavius and Osborn have, even though they never had met in the original
In
trilogy.
those movies, yeah.
In those movies, but obviously they knew of
They're
each
fellow
other.
scientists. They respect each other.
Now,
but that little bond they had and their interactions, I didn't even know I wanted.
Right?
To
you guys have played the Spider-Man game on PlayStation, yes?
I have, yes.
Anthony, have you at least seen anything of it?
I've seen it and played it.
Okay. So the thing that I loved about it was the fact that this was a situation where if you could even bring an inkling of the the character connection from that game into this, to have that moment where you think to yourself, if there is anything that Otto Octavius got to relish in before he went on his whole "I'm now a villain" thing, it was the death of Osborn. Because obviously in his mind, Osborn was a hack who went in through all that kind of stuff. But to even be able to see it from another side where it's literally just the idea of like, this was a man who was another scientist I kind of knew about. He was brilliant. He did these things. And then he died because he became a monster. And he judges Osborn for that, as he stands there, the exact same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted. Let me build up the scene a little more, because for me, this moment in the film is when the film turns from like kind of just you're seeing things happen for the sake of seeing things happen to like, oh my God, this is a fucking Spider-Man movie, because they're talking, Osborn and fucking Ock, you know, Electro and Lizard are kind of like talking about like, oh, like I knew you knew me, and then freaking Flint points out, hey, you both die. You both actually go home. You both die disgracefully at the hands of Spider-Man. And Peter's like thinking about all this, and Doctor Strange shows up to like send them back. And this is the part where the movie actually gets interesting, at least in my opinion, because the conflict here is a moral conflict. It's not a plot conflict. It's a conflict of each of their individual personalities. Doctor Strange is thinking about the big picture, the multiverse, and the ramifications of having these people here, and their sacrifice meaning, in the grand scheme of things, meaning a lot more. But Peter, his character is solely built on, I'm sending them to die. And if I have a chance to help them, it doesn't matter if it's one person or 5 people, or if they're villains, or if this is possibly going to fracture the multiverse, I have to help them. And they're both not wrong.
That's true.
Either character's not wrong.
The thing that I find so interesting about this, there is a version of this movie you could have written that would have been so safe and so easy. And it would have been, Peter has to track down all these villains. He gets to have his action piece fighting each of them. And then by the end, he gets to find a way to, boom, press the button, send them back to their own universe. And that's it. But instead, what we do is we put him in a situation where he has to face all of them as they come to the realization that in their own universe, at some point or another, Spider-Man kills them. And we have yet to see Andrew or Toby in any fashion. So as far as Peter understands, there's another version of exactly him out there that at some point kills every one of these people. And he cannot fathom and will not tolerate that concept.
It's brilliant, because I was going back and forth between both of the motivations. I was like, why are you trying to save him, Peter? Just let him go. All this will be over. Doctor Strange is right. But I'm like, no, if you can cure him, he's got to try to cure him. And I was going back and forth.
And May sets that up. And you hear the line later, but she's like, you help them. It's what we do.
Yeah.
We help them.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful. And that's like, that makes the plot so much more interesting. So obviously, there's a little battle between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Did you guys have any comments on that battle where they fight in the mirror dimension?
The whole mirror dimension.
And we get our Inception-esque.
It was fun. It looked great. I did love when he knocks him out of his body into the astral projection. His fucking spider sense is still reacting.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my. And then you
clever.
get to see the spider sense in the air. You know, you see the little air wiggles bending the air.
Yes, you do.
So this was very surprising, because Strange is like, this should not be possible. And he swims back to his body.
Well, I
was
love
like,
his
this
line where he
fucking
goes,
spider sense.
I love where he goes, am I in heaven?
Did you just kill me?
Yeah.
But that just tells you, like, how is that, is Spidey that powerful that he's done something that, like, throws him off? The fight in the mirror dimension is fucking fantastic. He figures out it's geometry. He's like, that's Archimedes' spiral. I know math. I can do math.
So this is the beginning of one of the things that I'm so happy this movie did. Spider-Man is fucking smart.
Yeah, he finally used some smart. They used a lot of smarts in this.
It's like there are so many instances in this movie where we get to see that Peter Parker is literally a genius. And that is one of the big things we need to know about him. It's not just that it's some dopey kid got bit by a spider and now he gets to be a superhero.
I mean, they're applying to MIT for fuck's sake. You gotta
they're applying to MIT. It means something. But it's hinted at here and there in the past 2 movies. And, literally throughout every Spider-Man movie, we've gotten maybe a little bit about, like, yes, Peter Parker is smarter than the average bear. This is the movie where we get to see all of them be scientists.
They did a lot of things that needed to be done in this movie. This moment is it's kind of, I don't know if it's clever, it's a little, but the way to get Doctor Strange out of the picture.
We got to write him out. So what are we going to do?
Write him out so bad shit can happen.
But the thing is, they write him out in a way that enhances Peter's character.
Yeah.
And it's, as Delhauer mentioned, it's also the first time we've seen Peter be, or at least in my opinion, one of the first time we've seen Peter be smart without Tony's help.
Yeah.
He's doing it on his own.
Yeah.
He's not using Tony tech. He's like, geometry. You're great at geometry. You know geometry.
We didn't even touch on like that black suit was just his suit inside out. Like I thought it was going to be new tech. It was just inside out because I got paint on it.
I thought that was funny.
Somebody threw fucking Nickelodeon slime on him.
They literally trolled the entire audience. Like, this cool black suit. It's a magical suit.
It's a magic suit that he gets from Doctor Strange. No.
He just couldn't get green
It's not
paint
even
out.
designed to specifically to battle Electro. It's just inside out.
It's great. It's so great.
So obviously he locks in Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension
and steals his sling ring,
which is big.
He grabs the sling ring. That's huge.
Gets the sling ring from him, and we're at the point now where he's like, "I think I can help you guys. You guys got to trust me." Now, Norman does the line of, "I'm something of a scientist myself."
Oh, that people would cheer
nuts.
We gotta throw in the meme for the kids.
Yeah, the crowd went crazy in my theater.
Osborn. I want to recap. So Osborn in this version of himself is down to help.
He doesn't want to be the Goblin.
Yeah, he's like, yes, like I'm down. Doc Ock is very, very skeptical.
Yeah.
Electro is also kind of skeptical. He's like, I like my power here.
Yeah, this is the first time he gets to feel like a somebody.
Right. He gets his body back, and doesn't have a comb over.
Yes.
Lizard,
and he's got a nice ass fade.
Lizard is also like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Sandman's like, I got to do what it takes to get home.
100%
so let him do
behind
it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But Peter's holding over them. Basically, they're all like, well, if we don't go along with this, we're going to die. So we're going to go along and do it.
It's we agree with you, or you press a button and you kill all of us.
They don't really have a choice, which is one of them says.
We're going to go to Happy Hogan's apartment with the magic box that can create anything.
The fabricator.
Now, here is what I think is probably one of my favorite concepts they have built for this. This is the moment where we get to see a creation essentially in storytelling, and this is where we get to play into the audience perception of who Peter Parker is in the MCU. Up until this point, Peter Parker has solved all of his problems with Stark Tech. And by having the fabricator from Far From Home in the back room of Happy's condo, his thought is, I can use Stark Tech that can build and create any MacGuffin I need in order to save all of you, and we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's going along, we get the first instance in which he does create a cure for Doc Ock.
Yep, and it looks just like the Raimi little chip with the needles going
literally
into the
looks
back.
looks like a little spider bot.
Yeah.
And he puts it on Doc Ock. It knocks him out. He thinks he's dead. He thinks he's dead. Boom. He's back to being Otto Octavius.
Yeah, it worked.
Congenial, wonderful scientist that loves Peter Parker and loves science.
There's a couple lines there that I thought were really, really like small, but really key. Osborn says to him basically, like, if you ever want a job, you can and you want to travel the multiverse.
You're willing to commute to another dimension.
But what that line signifies is the Osborn of the Raimi universe is impressed by this Peter. He's got his respect.
Because if you remember, in the Raimi universe, he loved Peter.
He did
more than Harry, and Harry hated that.
Like, he even said to him, he's like, Peter, you are so brilliant. You're wasting your potential being a photographer at a newspaper.
Yeah.
So this is his second chance to basically tell Peter, you're proving that you're a genius.
Yeah, you're awesome.
You're great at this.
Right.
When he's pulling the fucking, AR technology bit and putting it in his hand to show him, oh, this is where the broken chip is. And Osborn's looking at it like, did you just hand me a hologram? What the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah. But it's so, like, it's a small, like, in that moment, like, I knew Osborn was eventually going to turn, and I want to build that up in a second.
Yeah.
But in that moment, as an audience member, I was like, this is really cool. I like seeing Osborn bond with this Peter.
Even then, this is what they have done in all three of these Tom Holland movies. This is the second time we have seen another scientist at a Tony Stark level, now in a fatherly figure moment with this Peter.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted Tony to basically be his dad. He then wanted Quentin Beck to basically be his dad.
Yeah.
Because he was another Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're now seeing another scientist at a Tony Stark level who is treating him not only as an equal, but is saying, like, I'll take care of you, man.
Mm-hmm.
You want a job? You want to work in a place? If you're willing to cross dimensions, I'll take care of you.
Yeah, it's a nice little moment there.
And so the other thing that I really liked is when they first get into the apartment, you have that moment when he's going to go boot up the fabricator. That moment with Electro, when he has like his own electric spider sense,
yes.
and he feels the arc reactor that is in the fabricator, and he's like, there's something of immense power back there, and I want to know what it is.
Well, because Doc, there's so many good lines. Like, from this point on, I think we could quote almost all lines.
You probably could.
Doc Ock is literally like, is he going to, like, build something for us with, like, a box of scraps from a bachelor? And Electro's like, no, he's got something there.
Yeah.
So you're already building the tension for Electro. He's like, oh, there's stuff going on.
But you can tell Electro's digging this power too.
So from this moment,
and
go ahead.
The one thing I want to add on, because I know what you're going to go to.
Yes.
The next person they do move on to is Electro.
Yes.
And what I love about the way that they visually build this scene is he creates what is essentially, it looks like another arc reactor.
Yeah.
That gets placed on Electro's chest. And as time goes on, it's going to keep adding up these little green dots around the outside. And once it's entirely lit up, it means it's going to pull the excess electricity out of you. You're going to be normal.
Yeah.
We now literally have a ticking clock.
Yes.
Yeah,
in the scene.
Unstable Norman Osborn.
And before you did that, you had gotten on such a high, right? Like, Ock is cured.
Ock's cured. He can do this. He can save all of them.
And Ock is now helping him, right? Ock's like, what do you need? What do you need me? How can I help?
That's right.
How can I help?
Like, how can I help? Let's get this done.
Peter, Ock, and Osborn.
The
working as a trio.
That you never thought you would see. They're working together, right?
Yeah.
And Ock says the line that Osborn's like, his Green Goblin persona kicks in. He goes, "You're going to be made whole again." How does it feel?
Like, you'll lose your dark side.
Yeah. How does it feel? You're going to be whole.
And you see the back of his head. What does he say? What does he answer?
I forget what he says. He says something.
He turns around and he goes, I think he says something along the lines of, like, I never thought it would happen.
Yeah.
Or something
he doesn't
of
even
that
turn
nature.
around,
You can hear the goblin in his voice at that point.
Because he's ultimately, he's like, you're going to lose your dark side. And you see Willem Dafoe just freeze for a second.
Yeah.
And then he turns very slowly back to him, and you're like, motherfucker.
By the way, so before we get into the tension of this scene, there is also a funny line where Sandman and Electro are recounting how they became who they are.
Yes.
And they both had fallen into things. And Electro's, it's silly, right? They both fell into things. And Electro's like, gotta be careful where you fall.
That is very good. And there's a moment later on that they talk about the same thing that I really love that concept.
Yeah. So we're at this point now where you got the ticking time bomb with Electro, right? Or the ticking clock.
Yeah, the ticking cure clock.
And Peter's fucking spider sense goes off.
Yeah.
And they're doing the whining sound, and there's slow motion, like he's looking around, right? And he doesn't know what's going on.
What I love is the way that they have the camera set up for this. Now, we have seen this in so many other films, like Requiem for a Dream, where it's that camera that is essentially attached to the actor.
Yeah.
Facing at them directly. So as they move,
they're stationary.
They are stationary throughout the entire scene, but the entire background and everything around them moves around them. as he gets up and he moves out of the back room and into the kitchen of the condominium.
And the sound drops
and is just
away.
looking around, and everyone's like, what's wrong? What's going on? He's like,
everything gets muffled.
I don't
know. Electro literally goes, why is he looking at me funny? And like Ock is like, what's going on? And Norman's moving around.
Very
and everyone
slowly moving towards the robot arm.
And you're literally in that moment, and I've seen the movie 3 times. Every time I see that moment, I'm literally like, oh, fuck. Like, shit is going to go down.
Because of the fact that Norman is the reason this began. Interacting with him and finding out, well, you're not well, leads to Peter saying, I need to cure all of you. So to know that he is the reason this is going to go wrong.
He is the most unstable and unpredictable of all of them.
I know how dangerous he is when he is not Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
This is going to be some shit.
And shit goes down as Peter realizes it's Norman. Webs him to the
robot arm.
The robot Tony Stark thing.
Oh, God.
And
what was the name of the arm?
Dummy. I think Dummy.
E. And Norman's goblin persona comes out.
You think I would let you take my blood
He goes
away?
on a nice little monologue about being
so good.
gods and that you don't need to be
It's a
controlled.
gift.
And he's
It's not a
talking
curse.
to Electro.
To go back for a second.
Go ahead.
One of my favorite things from, I think it is Spider-Man, from the first Spider-Man, but also from Spider-Man 3. There is the whole scene in the first Spider-Man where Willem Dafoe is doing the scene back and forth with the mirror.
Oh, it's so good.
Where it is Norman having a conversation with the Goblin.
Yeah.
It is the way that he manipulates his voice for this.
Yeah.
Because there's Norman Osborn. I don't want to do this, but then he gets down into the Goblin.
Yeah, it's a
and
clear
you know you need
delineation.
it. So when you see not only his voice drops that octave, it takes on that persona. You see his face transform.
It's in his eyes, his nose,
it's
his
that
mouth,
big ass smile.
Yeah, evil
and
fucking brows. Oh,
it is chilling as shit.
Yeah.
Well, what also works for it in this universe is the MCU villains, for the most part, have never really been this over the top.
No.
Right? It's kind of a bygone era of like villains, right?
Yeah.
But to see that come back, and Willem Dafoe kind of tweaks it in a way, so it's not so over the top that it's cartoony. He tweaks it to make it like almost diabolical.
It is so very Joker in Dark Knight.
Yes.
Like he didn't need a helmet as Goblin. You just need to show his face. Like he gets to
That was
do
the main
this
complaint.
without
He
the
looks
helmet.
like the Goblin without the
Yeah,
helmet.
So here's
he's
the
amazing.
question I'll ask both of you.
Go ahead.
Beyond this Goblin, who do you think was the most over-the-top villain we have seen in the MCU?
Electro.
Before
The
Goblin.
MCU.
Oh, MCU. Sorry. Before this Goblin.
Oh, just like over the top.
Like
Cackling bad guy.
this caliber of like, I'm going to put so much into this evil persona.
God.
Wow, I don't even know
I can't even think of someone off
if
the top of my
they've
head.
had like maybe like early Loki. I don't know.
No, Loki was a little more
No, he
layered.
wasn't. Yeah,
Oh,
just
man.
someone who's evil for evil's sake. I can't.
I mean, Malekith was evil for evil's
I
sake,
was
but he was
thinking-
like he had nothing to say.
No, he was still
boring.
fucking wet toast.
Right.
Yeah,
That's why I think like this felt so
nobody liked that.
I
fresh.
agree.
Even though it's an old
the
villain.
closest thing
Yeah.
I can think, and it's still not even at the same level, is Killmonger in Black Panther.
Oh,
That moment
more
when they're
realistic.
fighting at the
Yeah.
waterfall,
Mhm.
that whole like, this is your king and all that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
That is
Oh, yeah.
the most over the top we have seen anybody
that's
be
not
in
even
the
that bad.
MCU.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not even that. It's not
over
even
the top.
close.
No, and
No.
that's the thing. Even then, it's a dude being cocky.
Yeah,
Right.
It's not a fucking comic book villain.
this is a schizophrenic, fucking frightening character.
And the thing is, too, is like if you put in like a few seconds of thought into Norman Osborn's character, you're like, fuck, that guy's tragic, right?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
He he tries to experiment on himself because he wants to get he's not getting the funding to do this, and he's trying to like make his family.
I need to prove that what I'm building is real, and it works.
He's trying to clear his, basically like make his name.
Yeah,
and it fucks him up, and he can't control it. He's such a tragic, like all these villains have been like in some way have all been tragic, but Willem Dafoe's character is the most
they
tragic.
even touch on very early on. How many of the villains that are trapped in the dungeon of the wizard that is Doctor Strange are brilliant scientists who accidentally turn themselves into monsters?
They're all people that lost their way.
Yeah.
They were all good people.
It was altruistic paths that led to them making mistakes that turned them into these diabolical fiends.
Right. I mean, you can even say this, like Electro Max was a good guy. Even Sandman,
accident.
He was just
Sandman
trying
was an accident.
He was trying to, and he was trying to support his daughter.
Yeah.
Like they're all.
Dr.
Like
Connors is a doctor who's trying to help himself.
They're all tragic characters.
This is why I know a lot of people have asked, probably in the past few days, and this is why I believe it was a strategically smart plan to not have any version of Venom show up in this movie.
He doesn't fit.
This is the only character who is either actively evil or is basically just an embodiment of being the bad part of Spider-Man. And we're already dealing with the idea of we need villains who are literally just tragic figures who are victims of circumstance in order to teach Spider-Man how to be a better Spider-Man.
Can we get to the Uncle Ben moment so we can get to the good shit already?
Let's do this shit.
Let's do it. So, awesome fight between Norman and Spider-Man.
Another one of those moments that had a lot of people cheering and going, oh shit, in my theater. The guy next to me, here is the moment that blew his fucking mind.
Okay.
I can't remember the full motion of how it happened, but it is the moment when, in the fight between Spider-Man and Norman, when in the middle of the hallway, he picks up and slams Spider-Man up into the ceiling of the hallway.
Oh yeah, they're going
as
through
him
the
drop
floors.
down onto his shoulder, and then he shoulder tackles him downward into the floor and drops him 3 floors through the building.
There's some brutal, like the most brutal fights I've seen in Spider-Man shit. Like they're not holding back. Yeah,
hurts to watch.
Remember when we were discussing how Spider-Man's not going to throw any punches?
Yeah, I thought
Disney?
he was supposed to punch people. Oh, he punched
gets
a
his
lot
ass.
of people.
He fucks up.
He gets
both
fucked
people
up.
And gets fucked up in this movie.
No, so yeah, Norman. I mean, there's one the one little cool moment I liked in that fight is Norman's getting punched in the face.
He's laughing.
And he's laughing.
He's laughing in his face like a goblin. I was like, oh,
when I said before, like this is a Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah,
that moment. He gets
so
punched in the face and he laughs at him about
laughs it off. It's so
and then basically
fucking scary.
tells him, "You do not have what it takes to beat me."
Yeah. So, Imran, do you want to, since you want to get to the Uncle Ben moment, we're here.
Well, they end up in the lobby. Also, at this point, Electro has blasted Doc Ock out the window because he stopped the ticking clock and
it off him.
Turned. Right?
Yep.
He also has convinced Sandman that this is a trap.
Turn. Yeah, and he grabs I think he grabs the arc reactor too.
He does. He gets the arc
at
reactor.
the same time.
Sandman just like, I'm out of here.
So what happens? They're in the lobby.
Yes.
And Peter is getting beat down by Norman. It's not really equal. I guess it was equal.
Norman's
it was not.
Norman's beating the shit out of him.
Norman's got him on the ropes.
He is.
Yeah.
He's fucking his shit up in this.
And what they do is also very brilliant. They make May, who's young, so you have a young May.
Yeah, she could do stuff.
This is the only way it's believable.
Yeah.
Because you can't have that old ass May interfere.
Yeah.
But the young May is like, no, I have some agency. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to fight.
For a little bit into this, they have been building the cures for all of the various people at this point, and they have a few of them off to the side that they're waiting on for some reason.
Right.
And May decides when she realizes that, oh shit, Norman's turned evil again.
Oh, that's right. She grabbed them all.
She grabs a bunch of them, puts them in a bag, and takes off. So when it comes to a point where literally goblin pile drives Peter through the fucking ground, like through 10 floors of this building into the lobby, and is holding him there, is ready to just kill him. She runs up with the initial cure they have built for him,
right,
and stabs him in the neck with it.
Yeah, but I don't think she like fully injects it.
No,
right?
she does.
Oh, she does.
She empties it into him.
It didn't work.
And he comments it doesn't work because they had Norman building his own cure.
That's right. He fucked up his own cure. He's like, because he was like, I'm not gonna let you do this.
The goblin took over.
Yes.
Yeah.
So May's, so the Norman's on one side, Peter's in the middle, May's behind Peter, holding like she was holding something.
No,
anyway.
she's in front of Peter.
She took essentially what was a power conduit with a fucking junction box at the end of it.
They turned it into a weapon
and was holding onto it as a cudgel. And was threatening to try and beat him with it, but she had her back to the front door of the building.
And what do we see out the back is you see Norman call his glider through the glass opening, through the doors. It knocks her down. Yeah, I love it. Oh my God, I love his voice. And you see it really quick, knock her down, grab him, and then he flies off throwing another pumpkin bomb towards May, which Peter tries to deflect.
The face on Willem Dafoe before he throws that pumpkin bomb is just like
so scary.
He's just like, I'm going to do this because it's fun.
The thing that they do throughout this entire fight is when we first start off in the apartment, when he first webs his hand, the entire time throughout this movie, Norman has still been wearing his Power Ranger goblin suit.
Right.
But he put on the purple hoodie and the green jacket and like sweatpants over it to like hide what he's been wearing.
Right.
Throughout this fight, he has lost the jacket.
The sleeves come off.
He has lost the sweatpants.
Yeah.
And the purple hoodie has been torn up to the point where it is now this tattered purple shroud.
It looks great.
With a hood over top of his outfit.
So
this
good.
is
purple and green.
The fucking purple and green outfit of the goblin from the comics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and here's a weird part. We see May get hit by the glider and the explosion goes off. He gets away. Peter finds May and it appears she's okay.
She seems like she's all right.
She gets up. She walks around. She's like, I'm okay.
But there's a thing about this.
She delivers with great power must also come great responsibility.
Well, the reason she delivers it, though, I think it's key that you say this, is because Peter's like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done it. And she's like,
I shouldn't have helped them.
And she's like, no, even in failure, we did the right thing.
Yeah.
Now,
and she gives the great power.
A thing that a lot of people, I'm sure, noticed, maybe some didn't, but a lot of people did. Throughout this whole scene, as they're talking, and she's saying, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Her hands don't stop shaking.
Oh, I didn't notice.
The entire time as she's talking to him, her hands are shaking. Maybe even like most of her arms are. And she seems very disconnected from what's happening at times.
Yeah.
Until she finally says, no. We did the right thing because with great power comes great responsibility. Now let's go ahead and leave. And then she's
like, I gotta lie down.
And says, I need to catch my breath for a minute. And he goes, oh, yeah, no, of course. Go ahead. Until he realizes that there are massive amounts of blood that are coming from her side. And she's becoming less responsive. Now, to take a step back for a moment, we established early on that Happy Hogan has a whole lot of security measures in his condo, as well as a doorbell camera. And there's a point where he tries to call Peter and says, I know that you brought a bunch of people into my condo. Who are
those
they?
People? What are you doing? And he shows up there.
So he's speeding back to his condo to go find out what's going on.
And I didn't think she was going to die initially.
Oh, Imran,
they
you sweet summer child.
Well. They played it off well.
I wish I was you.
Like, I couldn't believe. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I will admit, the fact that both of you said you didn't recognize the fact that her hands were shaking the whole time, that was the thing that told me,
walking around,
she's
fine.
in shock and she's full of blood loss at this point.
She's not feeling it
She's
at all.
not coming out of this lobby.
Yeah.
This moment, my theater was so quiet.
So quiet.
Yeah.
So quiet. Well, they did a really good job, right? Because you have, going back to Ock, you have the high of Ock being cured.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get this fucking tense low with the, Osborn.
Yep.
Then you get the lower low that she gets knocked But then you get the high. She's standing up.
Yeah, you're like, okay,
she gives
she's
the
gonna be all
speech.
right. Yeah,
She gives a speech.
She gives him the line.
And then
No.
she fucking
But then when she gave him the line,
So
I should've
here's the
known.
thing,
That
though.
was it.
She says, with great power comes great responsibility. And immediately, anybody who has ever...
Theater went wild for that, too. But
Well, then that's fine.
That was a big cheer moment.
Anybody who has ever ingested even a moment of Spider-Man media knows that is a fucking death wish.
She did.
Yes, anybody who
You
says
said
that,
the line.
You said the line.
You're not
going to
make it out of this room.
Yeah, I should have known. But like once she said it, I was like, oh, fuck.
Did anyone see that coming, that she was going to die in this movie?
No.
I mean, I remember I
Not,
said
not
I thought
until I
somebody
saw
was-
the glider outside that I went,
Yeah.
oh, they're going to do this.
See, I watched a synopsis, someone's like predicted synopsis of this movie prior to the movie coming out, and they said, we read a spoiler that she's going to die.
I had a
So
feeling
heard.
someone would die, and I guess it makes sense to finally give him his Uncle Ben moment.
This is his Uncle Ben moment,
Yeah,
right?
he needed this
But
Uncle
what
Ben
what
moment.
also was really good about this scene, obviously it's a horrible scene to watch, like people were crying, but they didn't marvel it, right? They didn't undercut it with a joke.
no.
They didn't do the core, well,
Yeah.
there goes those foundations, right?
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
didn't, they let you sit there for like a minute
With Toby.
with Toby just talk, or not with Toby, with
I
Tom
mean, with
just
Tom,
talking
yeah.
to Tom Holland's character talking to her, and then you even get the Happy Hogan moment where
Him
he sees
pulling,
it.
him pulling that whole entire thing of, you have to wake up now. You have to look at me. Look at me. Look at
Yeah.
me. Look
Oh
at
my
me.
God.
Answer me.
Oh my God.
It's literally that moment of you recognizing
punch.
this is his entire world falling apart right now. But it is also to play on the fact that we had the whole bit in the beginning with Happy Hogan and Aunt May are breaking up. He needs to get his own lawyer because he's connected to the whole weird thing with the Tony tech. Then he brings them along where they're now living in his condo and everything. And then he gets there just in time to see the aftermath and to see that she's dead. He's hurt. The building's fucked up. Something went wrong. And his immediate reaction is, I gotta buy him time. He has to leave now because he's got to go take care of this. There's nothing I can do in this moment other than make sure that this kid, this super-powered kid, gets to go off and take care of what happened here because I can't.
He's at a low point, Peter, and he kind of
to the point where
fucks
Peter
off.
gets shot in this scene.
Oh yeah, the cops come in
The
and they
cops
fucking shoot him, and then he takes off. He didn't even move. There are times when the spider sense doesn't go off. I'm like, why didn't the spider sense go off? Anyways, he's sad. He just lost May, Ned, and MJ. Don't know where he is, and this is where shit gets even crazier.
Let me say something real quick before we get into that part. In that moment when Tom Holland is with May, and acting, not only is it like spelled out for you, this is his Peter. This is when he becomes Spider-Man, right? Because he gets the speech. This is Uncle Ben moment.
Yeah.
But this was the part in the movie where I'm like, damn, Tom Holland's fucking acting his ass off
he
in this
did it.
movie.
He was really good. I got it. I was very.
He's
impressed.
fucking acting his ass off in this movie. Like he's not, again, like I said earlier, not collecting a paycheck.
Yeah.
So
he's invested. Yeah.
I don't think we need to like completely describe the scene, but what did we? So you get this is the moment we've all been waiting for, but it comes in way earlier than I think most of us were expecting.
I was
right?
wondering how they were going to do this the whole time watching. I'm like, okay, when's the moment? How's this going to happen? It kind of caught me off guard that
because
it was
it's such
Ned.
a low moment.
Yes, it's at
so
the
it's again
lowest
they're
point.
playing with your heartstrings, right? It's a low.
And it's
so how
the
do we bring us
perfect
back
time
up
to
from
do
the
this.
low?
And the
it's
perfect
perfect,
time.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I do agree. The thing is, though, this didn't take me. While the fact that we were doing it caught me off guard initially, where it showed up in the story did not take me off guard entirely.
Mm.
This is the midpoint of the movie.
Right.
The midpoint of the movie is either we're gonna have. Well, it's weird because it's the concept of looking at the way that a movie script tends to be structured. You've got your midpoint of the movie, and you've got what they refer to as the dark night of the soul. The midpoint of the movie tends to be either a false victory or a false defeat of your main character.
Right.
So you could say, oh, the fact that he cured Doc Ock is a midpoint of the movie. He proved, I can do this. I think it is this point that is technically the midpoint of the movie because it is a false defeat.
It's a big defeat. Yeah.
This is this is the moment where he feels he can't possibly continue to be Spider-Man because
something needs to happen.
Not even just the fact that it happened, but the fact that Doc Ock literally taunts him in saying, "You're the reason this is happening right now." Before
Goblin,
he
right?
kills his aunt.
Goblin.
Or you're right. It was Goblin.
Yeah. Yep. Norm, he's like, I didn't. You put her here.
Yeah,
it's
your
fault.
It's your fault that all of this is happening right now.
So Ned Leeds is magic. Turns out Ned Leeds
Headline.
is magic. They're at Ned's house.
So here's a minor detail we missed out on.
Yeah.
So leading through all of the stuff we have talked about so far, covering stories about Spider-Man and Peter Parker has taken J. Jonah Jameson and the Daily Bugle
from his house
from being
to like
a
big
bullshit
studio.
basement operation on the web to being a legitimate TV show
where he's selling his own supplements like Alex Jones. Yeah,
and so he has had people tailing Peter Parker and his family to get news stories, and he is literally outside of the condo when all of this shit happens.
Well, what's great about that moment, that's good you brought that up, because I forgot, was as Peter's going through the lowest moment in his life, this asshole is framing it as he's a fucking criminal.
Yeah.
Not only is he
been
going
working
through a
with
low
all
moment,
these criminals, and he's done this to our city.
Yeah.
Right.
Typical
It's being
Jameson.
broadcast across the city that this is all because of Peter Parker, which it kind of is, but he was just trying to help.
Yeah.
And he's getting fucked over in all different directions.
The media,
right now.
yes. So Ned, wearing the sling ring, is just waving his hands around, going, "I wish we could find Peter." And you see gold sparkles. I was like, "Oh shit!" And then he's like, "Let me see Peter Parker." A portal opens, and I was like, "Oh fuck! This is how they're gonna do it." And I loved how they introduced the first Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. He's way in the distance, and you don't realize it until he gets closer, and he steps through, and the audience loses their shit.
Oh, shit.
I think in my theater, this may have been the biggest reaction out of all of them.
I would agree. I think
Was
this
Andrew
was probably the biggest reaction. I think right when they opened the portal, I'm like, it's fucking Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Because I was
Which
like,
one
he's
was coming
taller.
first? Yes.
No, I was like,
Yes.
he's tall. I'm like,
He had the
he's
big white
tall.
eyes, too, you could see.
I was like, fuck. they
In
framed
his
right now.
costume, and then there's a hilarious exchange. Did you understand any of the Tagalog that the
I did.
You did?
I understood it, yeah.
Because people were laughing at that part. There was a bunch of Filipino people, must have been, they were laughing at the Tagalog before he translated.
It's exactly what Ned was saying.
It was what he was saying. I love they're like, prove it. And he just hangs from the ceiling, and she's like, "No, I'm going to need you to do more."
So
Like,
many
"That's not
good
enough."
lines. She's
Hey.
like, "How come you don't have the tingle?" He's like, I have the tingle."
I have
He's
the
like, "How come you
tingle."
don't? Not with bread."
It's just Brent does nothing. He's like, "I was in my world, and then I was here." And Andrew Garfield is just so funny, so charming. So then they're like, "Do it again." And they do it again, and fucking Tobey Maguire, not wearing a suit, steps through. Audience loses their shit again. And
Yeah, we went crazy.
And it's so good. And then they have a little standoff.
Spider off.
And then his aunt is like, "Can you clean all the webs you shot? I'm going to bed." This is the best part. She just walks off. But holy fuck, I'm like, oh shit, he's meeting him and he's meeting him. This is crazy. I can't. I mean, we knew. I mean, we didn't know, but we knew.
We knew,
but we didn't know.
But the thing is, we didn't. It was still, first off, it's surreal, right? Like
It's
I brought up
so
earlier,
crazy.
it's so surreal. Again, having grown up with these characters, to see them, and like the way both of those movies ended, I never thought we'd see Tobey Maguire again.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see Andrew Garfield again.
Yeah.
And now they're on the same screen, and you bring both of those characters back, and Toby, the line that like makes this go into a forward direction is Toby's like, "I've been sensing like that. I've been trying to look for the Peter."
Yeah, he's like,
he
he's
needs-
not your friend that you need help.
Well, but he's like, Peter, like I can feel like he needs help.
Yes, yes.
And in this point of the movie, I think is one of, I mean, there's many emotional parts of the movie, but this point in the movie where they're on the roof and they're comforting
they
Peter,
find him. Oh my
is
God,
so emotional for me because like it just rang so true, right? Like so, Peter's there,
Yeah.
Tom Holland's there, Alfred Tom Holland, and he's fucking grieving. And the kids come up and they hug him, and it just felt so like real, right? Like anyone that's lived through loss like that, that's how you feel in that moment.
Yeah.
And both the Peters are there, and they're trying to talk to him at first, and Tom's basically like, I don't want to hear it, right? I don't want to hear it.
It's like, I'm done. Forget
I'm done.
it.
I'm done. You're going home.
Yeah.
It's over with. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
But he's about to push the button, and MJ pulls it back, and she's like, head nods. It's like, listen to them.
Yeah.
And freaking, they both go into the losses.
It's so sad. It got me tearing up both times.
Well, it got me tearing up too. Not the first time because I was with my friend, but the second time I definitely.
I was in front of a dude. I couldn't do that.
I couldn't do it. But Tobey Maguire gets into Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And like, it's a little teary. But Andrew Garfield gets into fucking Emma Stone or into Gwen. And first off, his acting is fucking like he's already bawling out. Like he's crying. And like you forget that second movie, like his character arc wasn't even finished.
Yeah.
His character arc wasn't even done.
They left him hanging. They literally left it hanging.
He's just hanging. He's been hanging for years.
He needed this the most.
The thing that I loved about this scene, I loved Andrew Garfield. I loved the interplay that he had with MJ and Ned. Great. We then go and we get to the roof where we are now. We have some of the best acting we have seen from everybody in this movie.
Yeah, really.
It's Tom Holland at his most raw. It is. Especially the thing that got me was the fact that essentially what Andrew Garfield granted in this was not only just a peek into his character having to deal with the fact that not only did his girlfriend die, it was his ineptitude that killed her.
Yeah.
He couldn't get to her in time.
And we find out that he got dark.
He's
like, I stopped pulling my punches
because of it. Yes.
Yeah.
He tells the whole story about how I got bitter and I got angry, and soon I'm not pulling my punches anymore.
Oh my God.
And as we understand from Spider-Man and everything that we have seen, Spider-Man not pulling his punches means this motherfucker killed people.
It's deadly. Yeah.
Yeah. He's out there. His character is in such a dark place, and that's so interesting. I mean, when he makes that speech where he goes, I'm stop pulling my punches, and he's like, I got bitter.
Yeah.
I got rageful.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just don't want you to end up like me. And he's crying. I'm like, oh.
This is the scene that convinced me. Andrew Garfield was a brilliant choice to play Spider-Man.
I mean, he's still the funniest Spider-Man.
He's the best actor amongst those three guys.
Absolutely. Between the three of them, he is a brilliant actor. If you see him in anything else, you know this for a fact.
Yeah.
He was a great choice for Spider-Man. He got stuck with bullshit scripts and a garbage director.
Yeah.
Watching Andrew Garfield in this movie has proved to me that Mark Webb is a fucking joke.
Yeah, you had that and you didn't use any of it?
Well, it was also the fact that, unfortunately, and I definitely could have been better, but the movie was basically the middle child, and the middle child is always it came after the Raimi films.
But as I said earlier, his movies were created for no other reason than because Sony didn't want to lose the rights.
Right.
So his movies existed for no reason other than we needed to make these. I am now desperate to see Andrew Garfield get a Spider-Man movie that is made for no other purpose than because they want to make it.
Look, anything's possible now.
Because he would blow that shit out of the water.
Anything is possible now. From the moment Andrew Garfield comes into this movie, I love the whole rest of this movie.
He's definitely a scene stealer.
I have to ask this question. Have either of you watched Parks and Recreation?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Imran, you'll get this. Anthony, you won't. Andrew Garfield has such John Ralphio energy throughout this entire movie.
John Ralphio.
It is so brilliant.
That's what he reminded me of. Yes.
Like the entire time, it's anywhere from the voice to the really big hair to the way he reacts. And I'm like, that's fucking Ben Schwartz.
Where he's like, why do you act like that? I'm on pills.
I got run over by Alexis.
He's like a lot John Ralphio. That's a good point. I need a whole movie of these 3 Spider-Men just hanging out.
Oh my God, yes.
The parts where they're coming up with the
brotherly
cure.
aspect of these 3 Spider-Men is so well done.
And first of all, they do the pointing meme. They did everything. They did the pointing meme. They bring up the organic web shooters, and it's fucking hilarious.
The thing I wanted among anything else was I really wanted all 3 of them, because like we had that moment earlier on where Doctor Strange tells the kids they have to Scooby-Doo this shit to find the guys.
Yeah.
When they're talking about like, well, we're going to have to recreate some of the cures that we have for these guys. I really wanted all 3 Peter Parkers to look at each other and go, it's time to science this shit.
No, they did the pointing meme, which I was like,
yep.
I couldn't believe they did the pointing meme.
Are you kidding me?
The thing of this movie is this is like the only movie where you can pull this kind of, you could pull these memes in, and I go, I'm not even mad.
No.
This is fine by me. Because I'm I'm over the rainbow at this point, essentially.
Well, before we get to that lab, just real quick, I think that moment where they reflect on their stories, and Tom's like, I want to tear them apart.
Yeah.
And he's like, even when she was dying, he like pauses to like crying. He's like, she said we did the right thing. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And you do the line where they're like, great power, and they finish it to him, and they're like, maybe she didn't die in vain. And just like, they're like,
oh, that's right. I love that where they're like, how do you know that line?
This was the moment from Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
For me, it was my Uncle Ben. For me, it was my Uncle Benjamin. For me, it was my friend Peter.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that I love about it, though, Andrew Garfield lied to him.
But his Uncle Ben?
His Uncle Ben never said, with great power comes great responsibility. I have a quote here.
Martin Sheen never said
that I'm going to read to you.
He says something a little different.
Because Mark Webb actively said, I refuse to have that line in my movie.
What an idiot.
The quote from Martin Sheen is, "You're a lot like your father. You really are, Peter. And that's a good thing. I know I'm doing it as Nick Cage, but that's because I can't do a Martin Sheen impression. But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle, really. He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things.
Oh my God, he says the same thing.
That's what's at stake here. Not choice. Responsibility." It is the same line, but he delivered it in 6 sentences.
Why wouldn't he just have him say the line?
Because Mark Webb sucks.
Yeah, that was a bad choice for director.
They just wanted to do things different.
That was exactly it. He was like, well, I don't want to just make the same movie, so I'm not going to have him say the same line. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but it's also, you're just making the same movie.
So Garfield Spider-Man's like, yeah, but
it's kind of said the same thing. He said something like
similar.
that, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds better than what my guy said, so I'm going to say he said it.
Yeah.
So they pick up Tom Holland off his feet, basically, and they're like, okay,
dust him off, give him a kiss on the cheek.
We're going to do the mission. We're going to cure them. We're going to cure that ass, as they say.
I love that. We're going to cure that ass.
I want that as a T-shirt so bad.
Cure that ass.
And for what it's worth, these moments are everything's great here.
So good.
Every moment in the high school lab, I think it is that they're in.
Yeah.
Every
It's
moment
so
in
good.
this lab is fucking golden.
But what's great about it, and we can quote lines, but what's great about this and the moment right prior where they're on the roof, and this is what I've always said about MCU, and they nailed it to perfection here, is yes, the action scenes are cool. Yes, there's comic book characters. Yes, there's like good music and it's well-made blockbusters. But the best part of the MCU is when you get the characters in the room and they're talking to one another.
I want a whole movie of the 3 of them hanging out. I could have watched that for hours.
These moments where they're just talking to one another and they even like slow down the movie.
Yeah,
are some of the best fucking moments ever.
Shit was like they're talking about stupid shit, and it was amazing.
I will say, for someone who said not even an hour ago, that
like 3 hours
I
ago.
did not like the moment with Yelena, where it was just 2 characters talking with each other.
Yeah.
I love this shit with this.
Oh my God.
And I'll admit, it's probably just because I never fucking saw Black Widow. So it felt out of nowhere to me in that.
Well, you've seen these,
but like with
movies.
these guys, it's like I know these characters. I've been here for 20 years.
I mean, they're talking about if they have somebody special and they see Tom and Zendaya.
The whole bit where Ned just like rolls in and he's talking to Andrew and Toby. He's like, you guys got a guy in the chair or a best friend? He's like, yeah, my best friend betrayed me and tried to kill me. Yeah, mine too. And he's like, oh.
He goes, he died in my arms while he was trying to kill me.
Yeah, Toby's like, mine died in my arms fighting beside me. And Andrew's like, yeah, mine turned into a monster and tried to kill me. He's like, great.
Well, there's a little moment there, though, when they're figuring out the cures, right?
Yeah.
And Andrew's like, I've already done this.
Yeah.
Like, lizard's mine. I got it. Toby, though's line is really key, and it's a nice little character moment. He goes, I've been thinking about the cure for Norman for years. And it's like, oh, like his character has carried the burden of the fact that he couldn't save Norman.
Yeah, he
and
never
it's eaten him up forever.
I love the fact that what they build for Toby's version of Spider-Man is that they didn't go trying to do the thing of like, oh, they pulled him out of Spider-Man 3. They go for the idea of they pulled his version of Spider-Man out of the same universe literally
way later.
Like
some
13 years after those movies were done.
Right. Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I've spent over a decade
thinking about this.
Thinking about how could I have saved Norman Osborn?
Because keep in mind, if he saves Norman Osborn, his best friend never dies either.
His best friend never dies.
Yeah.
And with Norman being cured, they never, like, Norman's alive. We don't have him become the Spider-Man he was in Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. Like, it undoes that entire universe.
Right.
So it's like this one moment could have saved so many other lives. And if I get a second chance at doing it,
I'm going to take it.
I'm going to do it.
The organic web shooter shit and then Andrew is like,
you ever get a web block? Yeah, I did once. Oh, that's weird.
That comes out of you?
Is there any other places that comes out?
It's like just your wrists or
talk about it.
As far as I know.
So, and then the conversation on the scaffolding. They do the thing with Toby's back. He's literally cracking his back. It's fucking crazy, but so funny.
My favorite of that entire thing. So, before we get to that conversation, they make their cures. They're ready to go. They need a place to go. They decide they're going to go to the Statue of Liberty.
Place of Second Chances.
Place of Second Chances, where at the moment it's being reconstructed to replace the torch with a Captain America shield.
Yep.
Because America fucking sucks.
Yeah, fuck yeah. We put the shield up there.
But the way that he draws the villains to that place is he calls into the Daily Bugle show.
That's great, yeah.
And says, here's where I am. I have what you're looking for. I'm sorry that whatever I did led to this.
I was trying to help.
I'm trying to help. Come get me.
Yeah.
He's like, but I can send you back whenever.
Yeah, exactly.
Come and get it. But that moment where you're talking about where he cracks his back, first off, again,
genius.
That cracking back moment, like, you wouldn't do that in a normal movie.
No, it's like wasting time.
They know that the audience is here for it.
Yeah.
And they want to see something like that.
What I love about it is it's literally older, middle, and younger brother.
Yes.
Older brother being like, yeah, I've been doing this for so long, like my back fucking hurts from doing it. And middle brother's like, yeah, I've got a weird middle back thing too. Is it because of the web swinging? It's like, yeah, it is. You're like, great, man. Like I could crack your back.
Well, that line though is Toby in the first movie falls and he's like,
my back. Well, he hurt his back.
My back.
Well, he hurt his back shooting that movie.
Yes,
and that was like
he's
a big
always
thing.
had the back thing.
Yeah.
And then beyond that is the fact that, like, I think Andrew Garfield even said, like, doing some of the stunts in the second movie, he's like, yeah, man, this shit can hurt you.
There's a line from Toby right before he cracks his back. So they're talking about Max, and Andrew's like, man, he's such a sweet guy.
Oh, yeah.
Till he fell into a pool of electric eels.
He's like, that'll do it.
That'll do it. Yeah, he fell into a
Alright,
pool of
so-
electric eels. He goes, yeah, that'll do it.
So then when Tom Holland Spider-Man's like, who's the craziest guy you ever fought?
Oh, my God.
They have that whole conversation about, like, I fought an alien in space. I fought a black goo alien. And Toby and Andrew Garfield's like, I'm lame.
I wish I fought an alien. All I ever fought was a guy in a rhino suit.
And then Toby's like, you hear that self-talk? You are amazing. Listen to yourself. You are amazing. Say it for me.
I love the fact that they
So
pulled on
good.
the idea of like the amazing Spider-Man. It's like, you're amazing. You are amazing. But I also just
Say
love
it.
the idea that it was literally just like Andrew Garfield being like, guys, I get it. I was in the worst of these movies.
Yes,
It's
he's got
fine.
no self-esteem.
I live with it. He's like, no, fuck you. You're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, it also plays on like each of their versions of Peter Parker, right? Like Tom Holland's character was always super enthusiastic, so he's going to talk about like the villains he's fought. Tobey Maguire's character has been kind of like dad, like goofy. So he's always going to be the guy that's going to be like, no, you're cool. Like,
Even
you're really cool.
even in the sense when they're in the lab and they're getting ready to go do the fight, and he's like, well, you don't even have your costume. And he like pulls down his t-shirt. He's like, I have it all the time. I just I'm not advertising it.
He's like, you're going to dress like a youth pastor? Or you
Yeah,
actually
you're gonna
buy
dress
your
like a pastor.
suit? And he
Yeah,
has
but then
it. Yeah.
Andrew's character has always been a little bit more brooding and a little bit more dark and a little bit more emo. So of course he's going to be the one where it's like having the out loud self-talk and he's going through an existential crisis all the time about who he is and what it means for him to be him.
No, man, I get it. I'm the worst of the Spider-Men.
Well, the other old sequence I loved is after the guys start showing up and they're trying to give him the cure, they realize they suck because they're not working as a team, right? So they all gather together. They're like, we suck as a team. We don't know how to do it. And he's like, wait, I don't want to brag. Tom's like, but I was a member of the Avengers. And Toby goes, the Avengers? That's great. What is that?
I love that movie.
Love that
It's like,
line.
that's awesome.
And he's like, you
What
don't have
is
the
that?
Avengers? He's trying to explain it. And then Toby's like, this isn't helping.
Yeah. How is this helping?
How is this helping?
The Earth's Mightiest Avengers. It's like, it doesn't mean anything to me. What are you doing?
And then when they number off, is
I don't know what
part.
you said. You said Spider-Man 2. Who
Are
is
you
that?
2? And he goes, Toby is 2. And then Andrew Garfield goes, yeah, I know, Spider-Man 3.
Well,
Like,
you know,
he's always
my
the
favorite
third
He's
thing
one.
about
just
this.
resigned to it. He's just
Yes.
like, Peter number 3, fine.
Yeah,
number
what I
three,
love,
of
what I
course.
love so much about this is the fact that not only is
So
it the
good.
fact that the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man has resigned himself to the idea of, yeah, I'm Spider-Man number 3. I'm
He's
the last
shit
in the line.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
It's that until this moment, Spider-Man 3 was a dirty fucking word.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too.
So it's like, yeah, I get it, guys. I'm the worst. Not only in a trilogy, but just in the 3 Spider-Men that exist.
I just love like he has no self-confidence. It's so
He's the middle
He's
child.
so
Yeah, it's
fucking
just perfectly
self-conscious
done.
about it.
And then he's like, I love you guys. And they all just look at him. They're
Well,
like,
I love you
"Okay."
guys. And they both turn to me like,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, you know what though? It's so in line. Like he's the one that's always needed that affirmation.
Yes.
It's also
Yeah.
very meta, right? Like
Yep.
he was the one. Like he's the kind of the forgotten Spider-Man, and he always looked up to Tobey Maguire. And,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
he's probably jealous of Tom Holland, but you know what? He still loves them.
Well,
He
because
loves
Tom
them both.
kind of stole his fucking job. He thought he was going
Right.
to get another shot, and then all that
But
shit
he's
happens.
always been very gracious, like in media, about like
Yeah.
the role
Oh, yeah.
and like
Absolutely.
not being bitter about anything.
It is literally like, I know so many people have compared Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man to like Robert Pattinson being Edward in the fucking Twilight movies, where it's like, oh, you know, he took those movies because he needed the money, but like he hated being in them. Like, no. Andrew Garfield has said for the longest time he loved being Spider-Man. He loved being in those movies. The thing he regretted was that nobody beyond him and maybe Emma Stone gave a shit about those movies.
I was at the San Diego Comic-Con where they revealed they had Andrew Garfield and they were
Oh,
showing the
wow.
first footage.
Yeah.
And he literally went on a long speech. He did like a thing where he played off like he was an audience member. So he had this mask on. And he was asking
dressed as
questions.
Spider-Man, yeah.
And then he went on stage and he took off the mask and was like, everyone went nuts. But he went in this long speech about how he was so thankful to be the next Spider-Man. And he was like taking the baton from Toby and he had his blessing. And he was like, I'm going to do the best I can. Like you felt that he, as you mentioned, Matt, he wanted to really like, he felt like this was his, like the next, like the James Bond, like he was doing his next interpretation of Spider-Man and he was going to do this for 3 or 4 films. And he really like felt like he had a lot to live up to. Like he took on that role like very seriously.
Because it could have been multiple movies for him.
It should have been.
No,
It
it should have
4.
been.
Yeah, it should have been.
And that's
yeah.
the problem. Even when we did What the Fuck Happened to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, like throughout that whole thing I said, he is the best part of this movie. If I could take anything out of this movie and be like, I want something else involving this aspect, it was him.
So this part of the movie is where my crowd almost cheered as loudly, if not as loudly, as the reveals.
Yes, the swing of the 3.
Well, the I love you guys, and then it starts with them putting on the mask and running.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh shit,
dude,
they are together, and they jumping off the scaffolding.
I can't believe
and they're
I'm watching
swinging
this.
in the air together, and they're swinging off each other's ropes,
and then all 3 of them land in that Spider-Man pose.
Oh my god!
I was pinching myself. I'm like, I can't believe I'm fucking watching this.
I literally got chills down my arm the
3
first time I
fucking
saw it.
Spider-Man, and they're in their suits, and it's them.
Them 3. It's them 3.
Just fucking
3.
rock hard at this point.
Absolutely, I got full boner. Yes.
They're curing everyone. I don't need to go into detail. They're curing everybody.
Exactly.
Right? They're curing everybody. There's a nice little moment between Electro and Andrew Garfield where they discuss a black Spider-Man.
Yeah, he thought he was black.
Where we reveal that Electro never knew
Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
But fuck it, we were too late in the movie for that now.
He's like, you help poor people? I thought you were black.
There's a very cute moment between Doc Ock and Toby where he's like, it's really nice seeing you, my boy. And he's like, how are you? He's like, trying to do better. Like they both, like you realize they hadn't really met like that in a long time.
The thing that I had wanted in that scene initially as a joke was I wanted him to make a comment to Toby about like, oh, you look old. But then the fact that what he says, you grew up.
Yeah, you're all grown now.
Yeah,
you're all
look
grown.
at you, Peter. You're all
and it's that moment where it's very much like a Ben Kenobi moment.
Yeah,
where it's not about making the joke about, oh, Toby's so old playing this role, but more along the lines of the last time we saw each other, you were so much younger and I died.
Right.
And now I get to see you even older because of the second chance that you and your alternate self gave me. It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
And I love how he comes in like you think he's still a bad guy. He's putting on a show for Electro and then just turns around and depowers Electro. People cheered at that point, too. They were like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So you notice how this whole fight, where's fucking Goblin?
Well, before Goblin, we have a little bit that's going on in which their plan was they were going to take the box to lure the bad guys there, throw it to MJ and Ned in a portal that he created with the sling ring,
and then Ned is
and then they were
going to
shut it, and it was going to be a fight. But the problem was Ned can open portals, but he's yet to ever close one on his own.
Not good at closing portals.
So now there's an open portal. They get dragged into the fight. They're running around. They go to try and create another portal to leave, and instead it brings in Doctor Strange from the Mirror Universe.
Yeah, I think he just finds them. He finally gets out of the thing, and he's like, I've been dangling in the Grand Canyon for 12 hours.
Which
where's Peter?
Is wild because I think in our time, he's been there for 36 hours.
Time works differently in the Mirror Universe.
Of course it does. So he's pissed. He wants to find Peter, but they're trying to prove to him, like, look, his plan on trying to cure everybody and fix them, it's working.
Yeah.
And he sees him cure the lizard and cure Electro, cure Sandman, and it's like, great, you're right, this is working. Now Goblin shows up, and now shut up.
He has a great line, too, where he's like, can Spider-Man come out to play?
Which
like
he used in the
cartoon?
I think the first movie.
Yes. Oh, so good.
So, yeah, Goblin shows up. He blows up the box, right? So the spell is all over the place. Now, it's fucked up. In the midst of blowing up the box, MJ falls off, similar to Emma Stone's character in Amazing Spider-Man 2, similar to Kirsten Dunst in Spider-Man 1. And you get another awesome Andrew moment where Tom Holland is trying to save her. The glider hits him. My whole audience gasps at this point. And you cut to Andrew Garfield, and he's like, no.
Oh, fucking hell.
And he jumps off. And as soon as he jumps off, everyone in my crowd is fucking going bananas. He catches her, They land, and
oh,
as he lands,
yeah.
he is already a glass case
He's
of emotion.
crying. It's like, are you okay? And everybody is tearing up.
This is the first
tearing up.
moment.
I love this. He needed this so much.
While I definitely felt something during the whole Aunt May's death moment, seeing Andrew Garfield catch MJ, holding her, they land on the ground, and like there's that split second where he does not let go of her.
And you notice he doesn't web her; he jumps and grabs her,
and then finally like puts her on her feet, and she looks at him and she says, "Are you okay?" And you see in his eyes, he's been crying the whole way down.
Wait, he first says to her, "Are you okay?" And she says, "Yeah," but she notices him.
Yeah, she's like,
"Are you okay?" And he does like a silent like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah,
but it's like a
choking.
That
up.
moment is literally he gets his finally. He rounds out his arc.
And that was the thing, was the fact that when they were in the lab, and he goes into as much detail as he was willing to go into about the death of Gwen.
Yeah,
it is that moment where when he finally saves her. And she looks at him and says, "Are you okay?" And you see that he is just on the edge of keeping his shit together. That I was like, this is the moment that has literally redeemed everything about the Andrew Garfield movies to me.
It kind of makes those movies better.
This has allowed those movies, and as shitty as they were, to finally be worthwhile. Because his character gets to be... Like, even the description he makes later, even before that, when he's like, I couldn't save her and she died and I became this horrible monster who wouldn't pull his punches. He finally gets that moment.
Yeah.
And he's a hero again in his own eyes.
Right.
For the first time in God knows how long.
He's like, fuck if this is happening again. I'm gonna.
It literally makes it rounds out his arc and completes the arc of those movies that never was finished.
Yep,
exactly.
It needed that. That's amazing.
In like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
it makes him the Spider-Man he's always wanted and needed to be.
Yeah, he can move on. He can go out and do like things. He could, if they wanted to make movies, he could go out and do things and feel like Spider-Man.
Feel like he is Spider-Man. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. So. You get to you're built up to this moment, right? It's Peter and it's Green Goblin.
The shield is on the ground. I've fallen over. They're on the shield.
Peter wants to fucking... This whole time, by the way, when Toby was like, hey, like I've been thinking about curing Norman, Peter doesn't say anything.
No,
he doesn't. He looks at him like, I want to kill him.
He said specifically on the roof, since that moment, all I've wanted is to kill him.
Well, he even when they're in the lab... having watched this 3 times, he goes, okay, we got to cure Lizard, Sandman, Electro. He doesn't say we have to cure Goblin.
The moment he holds up the piece that is the syringe, and he says, and he waits for a second, and Toby takes it out of his hands. He goes, I'll take care of this one. I've been thinking about how I would cure Norman for years.
Yeah. He doesn't want to kill him.
And takes it away. Because he knows this is so fresh for you, you can't possibly do it right.
This fucking fight was the most brutal I've seen at this Spider-Man, any Spider-Man.
The only drawback to that fight is I wish like they made Norman a little more. They made him bloody. Like he should have been.
Yeah, because he was punching the shit out of his face, and there was no blood at all.
With the line that you get from Andrew about there was a point where I stopped pulling my punches.
Yeah.
They make it obvious that is what Tom is doing here.
Right.
This is a point where he should be losing teeth.
Yeah.
He should be breaking bone.
That would have made it
this
a
man
little more
should
effective.
be bloody as shit.
Yeah, he should be.
And I don't know why they couldn't do that.
Not even a
because
little
Tom is bloody as shit.
Yeah, they cut him up.
I think it's because in the end, I guarantee you, Disney told them
too violent.
Even no matter what, a hero cannot make the villain as injured as the hero is.
That's fair.
Oh, okay. So Goblin about to get impaled by his own glider again as Tom Holland Peter picks it up.
I will tell you, there has never been a moment that I have seen Tom Holland as intimidating as the moment that he is dragging the glider across the shield and plans to plunge it into Goblin.
And then I love love out of nowhere, Tobey Maguire grabs it, stops him, and they don't even say anything.
Just eye contact.
Looks right at him.
Well, that's redemption, right? Because he couldn't save him from his own glider in the first film.
Yeah.
Him dodging the glider in the first film is what killed him.
Yeah, he could have saved him. He just jumped out of the way.
But he didn't know that the glider was
It's this weird aspect where it was literally the Spidey sense that saved his life in the first film.
Right.
Killed him. Norman.
Yep.
It wasn't that he wanted to kill him. It wasn't that he tried to kill him. It was that his Spidey sense just said, you're in danger. He moved, and then it happened. This time, he knows what's about to happen, and he has the chance to get in the way of the Goblin glider to save him.
Yeah, but the Goblin don't give a fuck because Tom Holland puts the glider down. And speaking of spider sense, where was it now? Because Norman Osborn stabs fucking Toby in the back.
Who cares? You know why?
Why wouldn't you see that coming?
You know who cares? You know why I say who cares?
Yeah.
Because it's a great fake out death.
It
the
is.
audience went nuts.
I thought he was going to die.
The moment
also.
it hit him, I heard my entire audience go,
Everybody
oh
thought,
my God.
Yeah, Toby, they thought Toby was going to die. I thought the same thing, and he's fine. He's like, I've been stabbed before. It's fine. But he does get the cure from somebody. Oh, Garfield throws him the cure.
Garfield tosses it to
and
Tom
then
Holland.
he does.
Injects it right into his neck instead of killing him. And he actually does. He does what the other Spider-Man couldn't do. And cures everybody.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Now, here, I'll quickly run
Wrap
through
it up.
the end. So, universe is breaking, right? More villains are coming over. You see like a Rhino. You see Kraven.
What'd you see in the
Scorpion.
Sky Cracks? You saw Kraven
Rhino,
and Rhino and Scorpion.
Kraven, Scorpion.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
At least.
Yeah.
So the universe is breaking.
And Stanley.
Stan Lee. And there's no way to stop it. The only way to stop it, Peter, they do the one more day type storyline.
Yep.
Peter's like, make everyone forget. And right away, Doctor Strange is tearing up. He's like, are you sure you want to do
it?
And he's like, see you later.
Yeah.
You get the moment with Peter thanking the Spider-Man, and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So he just fucking gives them a big hug, and my audience went fucking nuts when he gives them a big hug.
I will say that the things that I loved about this moment. So, yes, Goblin blows up the little prison box that has the spell in it, and that's why everything's cracking up, and Doctor Strange is trying to save it. Our Peter, MCU Peter, decides everybody who knows Peter Parker in any fashion has to forget him in order to save the universe.
Not even
Just that he is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
anyone who knows Peter Parker in general has to forget who he is to save the universe. He goes down. He says, now before that even happens, like when Toby gets stabbed in the back. And he's laying on the ground, and they defeated Goblin, and they're checking on him. He's like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. I've been stabbed before." He has the line of looking up in the sky at the big purple cracks coming through the world. He's like,
"Am I dying?
Is that happening or am I dying?" They're like, "No, that's happening."
That's good.
He's okay, great. So he comes down, he meets up with them, and he's like, "Okay, guys, I don't know how to say this, and I basically it's him trying to say." Thank you for everything you've done that has allowed me to get to be Spider-Man.
They made him a better Spider-Man.
It is a very meta moment of Tom Holland thanking the past two Spider-Man actors for allowing or doing what they could to allow this franchise to get to a point where he got to be Spider-Man.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's thank you in more ways than one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he goes in, he hugs the two of them, he goes to swing away. My favorite moment of improvised acting ever. They do that, and then a second later, Andrew looks at Toby and goes, "You're in immense pain, aren't you?" He goes, "Yes, I'm in a lot of pain." He goes, "Yeah, I bet."
It was all right. That was a good line.
So then he swings up, and now it's time for him to talk to MJ and Ned.
Oh,
and this is the heart-rending moment.
Man,
and this is
Zendaya
the
nails it
moment.
too.
This is the moment in this entire movie. Now, here's the thing. I've only seen Zendaya act in these Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the HBO show that she's
Euphoria.
in. Thank you. So here's the thing. This is the first thing I have seen where I have seen Zendaya do the most acting in her career I have ever seen. And it is brilliant.
It was sincere, heartfelt. You felt so bad.
This is the moment after 3 movies where I said, "Oh my God, the two of them have so much chemistry between the two of them."
Well, they hooked up.
By the way, of note, this is the 3rd Spider-Man pairing where they've actually dated in real life.
Yeah,
too.
Amy Pascal said she told Andrew and Emma Stone not to get involved. She told these two not to
Kirsten
get
Dunst and
involved.
Tobey Maguire.
They were
also
dating
dated
too
during the first
For a
film.
little bit,
Shit,
yeah.
They everyone gets together.
I mean, and here's the thing. When you're young, you're in movies. A big part about your romantic lead is that you need to learn to be in love and or infatuated with them.
Yeah.
The easiest way to do that?
Do it for real.
Date them in real life.
Do it for real.
But anyway, the chemistry between them is so great.
The I love you part is great, too.
This is the struggle of a man trying to tell his girlfriend and his best friend, "You're never going to remember who I am."
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's also convinced he's somehow going to remind them when it's all done. Like we learn later on, he even wrote a speech to try and do it.
Yeah.
So he's convinced, you're going to forget me, but don't worry about it. Like, I'll come back. I'll tell you who I am and you'll remember.
She doesn't let him say, "I love you." She's like, "You tell me on the other side."
Exactly.
Tell me later. I was like, "Oh, fuck. That's good."
Well, that leading from so he does the he says his goodbyes, but that scene in the coffee shop is so fucking good afterwards because you mentioned he writes down the speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's having the awkward conversation with MJ this time, and he notices they've gone to MIT. They're in MIT.
The two of them are accepted.
Two of them are accepted, and he's like, "Okay, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say it now." And then he's paying.
Yeah.
And he finishes the line with her where she's like, "You expect disappointment."
Yeah.
And she moves, as he's paying, she moves the fucking hair and she notices the scar.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he literally solidifies himself as Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
Because he realizes in that moment,
I can't
their
tell
life
her.
is their life is better without me.
I can't get
and it's not about me. It's about when you have great power, you have great responsibility, and I to be a hero, to be the hero I'm supposed to be, I can't be happy.
And the statement he says, he goes, "Oh, does that hurt?" And he points to the cut, and she says, "Well, not anymore."
Right, not as much, right?
Not as much. And what he comes to recognize is not knowing me, especially not knowing me as Spider-Man, you're not in pain anymore. You're not in danger anymore. It's better for you to never know me. And that's why he takes his coffee and leaves.
And it's not their burden. Right?
Yeah.
By sharing that he is Spider-Man, unlike all these other characters,
you put them in danger right away.
Not only do they put them in danger because of the characters of because of the people he relates with and gets to know as friends, they take it on as their burden.
Exactly.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We see when he's going to try and track down these other villains from other dimensions.
Yeah, they won't leave
MJ and Ned say, "No, we're a team.
Yeah,
we won't leave you."
Right.
And because they care about him, despite the fact that he's super powered and they're not, they won't leave his side.
So
they are putting themselves in even more danger to try and protect him and be a part of his life. By deciding, "I will never let you be a part of my life again," he recognizes the two of you will live the lives you're meant to live and you will be happy and safe. For me to come back into your life and say, "Hey, by the way, I'm Spider-Man and I'm Peter Parker and we're friends, and from a time when I made you forget with a magic spell," he will get them killed.
See, I think he can still rekindle the friendship, just never tell them that he's Spider-Man. You could still be friends with them.
He can still. I think he could potentially. They could write it where he could rekindle, but yeah, he can't.
They can't be back where they were.
No.
They have to be blind to who he really is.
Did you notice Zendaya in that moment? She's wearing the broken black Dahlia necklace that he gave her in the last movie. So I feel like there's a little part of her.
There's a little part of her
that she's gonna remember.
Well, what's great about it though, and what's also sad is he's such a tragic character.
Yeah.
It's such a tragedy that he's Spider-Man, but unlike Batman, he doesn't brood about it. There's still that youth and that optimism in his eyes that, like, yes, it's a burden, but this is what I'm meant to do.
He is a character who not only is willing to be alone, lives alone in a studio apartment.
Nobody knows him. Think about that. Nobody
to the point
knows him.
Where he has to take his GED equivalency test.
He has no social security. He's got no fucking birth certificate. Everything's been wiped. How does this spell work? He's completely alone.
And yet at the same time, he will sew his own Spider-Man costume.
Oh my God. So look, they end this movie where I wanted him to start for years. We have a Spider-Man whose biggest enemy should be getting rent for that month. This is his big, bad guy. And when he showed up in the apartment, it looked just like Toby's apartment. I yelled out loud. I was like, rent. Like when that happened, and people looked at me. I was like,
the other side of it is,
Mr. Dick
it looks
Rich
exactly like the apartment from the fucking PlayStation video game.
Oh, it does look like that apartment too. He did a move from the game too. But that he has to make his own costume, and it's bright, shiny spandex, and I thought it looked great. But I was like, oh shit, this is him making his own shit on his own.
If you had told me by the end of this movie,
wow,
he was not only going to be sewing his own costume, but it would be the Steve Ditko original fucking costume.
OG, it looked fantastic, and
like,
Jonah
holy
Jameson
shit,
is still railing on about him. So it's weird. I want to know how the spell works. People know Spider-Man, and all his interactions are still people remember.
I wouldn't think about the spell.
Probably
not.
Probably not think about it.
The biggest question I have, and this I have to tie into for the fact that it ties to Imran. When Peter returns to high school for his senior year.
Oh, yeah.
The teachers, and by the teachers, I mean Martin Starr.
J.B. Smoove, Hannibal Buress. That was great. That was so great.
Yeah. Like shrine to Spider-Man in the high school with Peter Parker's picture in it.
And a bust. It was all Martin Starr's character.
It was all Martin Starr's character who did it, because I say it ties to Imran because he looks exactly like Imran in this movie.
Martin Starr, yeah.
Yes, he does.
And I love Hannibal Buress.
Hannibal Buress, who is a fucking Mysterio supporter.
And Martin Starr's like, he's a conspiracy theorist. Don't mind him.
But it's the fact that, so imagine they built this whole shrine in the high school.
Oh, yeah, that's all gone.
Now, that's the thing. Is it gone?
Is it gone?
Because all we're saying is they forget who Peter Parker is.
Not Spider-Man.
But now there's a fucking shrine in the high school to Spider-Man, and one of the parts of that shrine is a school photo of a kid no one recognizes.
Well, I mean, Anthony, you're right. You can't think about the spell too much.
No, you can't.
I feel like this is part of what Doctor Strange 2 is about, which we'll get to in a second, because we're not done. We're not done.
No, we're not.
Even though we're heading into hour 5 of this podcast.
Yes, the last scene of the movie. There's still more. First of all, they use an awesome De La Soul song over the credits scene.
I love that song.
I've loved that song since I was 13. 3 is the magic number.
Before even that song, the song when he's swinging around and they have the opera music going, I'm like, this is the most epic 3-series origin story I've ever watched in my life.
It's Christmas now. It's winter.
Taken us from 2017 to 2021 to tell the first act of a story.
Who knew this was a 3-movie origin story?
No one. I'm willing to bet hardly anyone would have predicted that we were getting the origin story in the 3rd film of a Spider-Man trilogy. Everyone assumed that the Uncle Ben moment had already happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we all assumed it. We were just like,
he's already dead. He already told him.
Yeah, we were all like, man, there's something really missing from this Spider-Man because we never saw the Uncle Ben moment. Little did we know that 6 appearances in the MCU later, that's when they were doing the Uncle Ben moment. They were doing it with Auntie May.
The long con. They pulled the long con.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first mid-credits scene, here is Tom Hardy talking like, who did you say you couldn't remember who he talked?
That's the
weird
thing
accent.
I fucking can't remember.
With the guy from Ted Lasso as the bartender. That dude's in Ted Lasso. And he's like, explain it to me again with this purple alien and what happened.
Like the best I can try to do is like I could try to do like a drunken, almost like
he's doing John
Mark
Belushi.
Wahlberg,
or
something, where it's just like, Okay, so tell me again about this. You tell me aliens are obsessed with stones, and like the whole time I'm listening, I'm like, when I was sitting in the theater, I'm like, he sounds like X. And then today, while I'm at work, I'm like, wait a minute, what was his accent like? I can't remember. And like I'm watching clips from like the first movie of Venom, and I'm like, nah, I can't get it. The best I could get was I was like, it's kind of Wahlbergian, like Bostonian accent.
It's a stray because he's like, you know what aliens like? They like brains. Let me tell you. And he's like, Eddie, and Venom's like, Eddie, don't go into this. Anyways, they're there and they didn't get to do anything, and the spell is over and they poof away.
Which means that literally
he didn't get to do shit.
This is the equivalent of having Sony touch your penis. And then the moment you get hard, they go, "Oh, I got to go home.
We're taking it out." But of course,
I didn't look at it like that. Well, but yeah, so the little bit of the symbiote's
he's going to leave
there.
the goo there.
But I didn't look at it like that. I literally went to my friend. I go, the MCU just did Tom Hardy dirty.
Yeah, that was weird.
What happened was Sony was like, we made our own film.
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking put Tom Hardy in the MCU.
Oh, you are you?
And then MCU was like,
okay,
you know what? We don't really want Tom Hardy, but we do want that little symbiote.
Yeah.
So fuck off.
He can go back.
It's a mix of, at the end of Venom 2, Sony thought, look, we're gonna do this big crossover multiverse event. What if Venom showed up? You know, the way they did with Spider-Man 3, and MCU, when they saw it, went, no. They went, well, we already teased it. They went, I don't fucking care. You're not having Venom in this movie. Went, what if he shows up as a mid-credit and he's like trying to figure out the MCU and then he just disappears? Like, I don't care. He's not showing up in the movie. They're like, okay, fine. So then it was like they had him show up in the mid-credit. He's like, tell me again about all the stuff going on with I'm going back to my world. You're like, what the fuck even just happened?
Yeah, well,
this has been such a waste of time.
And the MCU literally just looked at Tom Hardy's character and go, we want one thing from that. We just want the symbiote.
Bring me up a little bit of that symbiote.
Just give us that symbiote.
Now, I will say, a big thing that they played on, and apparently it's a part of the comics. I'm not so up to date with Marvel Comics that I can say yes. Apparently, symbiotes are not just a hive mind; they're a hive mind across
the multiverse,
all the universes.
Yeah. So they all know everything that's happening on all the multiverses.
So that means when he showed up in Venom and he was like, "Oh, I know who this is," looking at Tom Hardy,
because Topher Grace's Venom knew who he was.
Yes.
See, I'm going to go the other way. It's because the piece of him he left in that universe down the road would interact with the Tom Hardy Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, and then he's already connected to that through their interdimensional hive mind.
It didn't happen at that point.
Well,
that doesn't fucking matter, Imran.
That I could see
it's an alien.
Well, I can see how that would be the case if you're referring to time as a flat disk and everything is everything at the same time.
It's all sitting there. Yeah.
It all happens at once.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Earth is flat.
So we get Venom in the mid-credit scene. We're still not done.
We can talk. We can refer to it, but I don't think we need to focus too much on the Doctor Strange.
Deep into
okay,
this.
real quick. Doctor Strange 2, you kind of got a trailer. Basically,
you got a trailer. You didn't kind of get a trailer. You got a whole trailer.
You got a trailer. You got Strange going to find Wanda.
It's like a 4-minute trailer.
The multiverse is fucked. Can you help? Mordo's there. You see Shuma Gorath. You see America Chavez in the back of her for a quick second. And the most important thing, you see fucking Sorcerer Supreme from What If.
Oh,
Holy shit. It's the fucking dark Doctor Strange. Apparently, this movie will have the most What If and Fox character cameos out of all the MCU movies so far.
Fox character cameos?
Yes. They went back and there was extensive reshoots to add more cameos.
Fox character.
We're going to get, I guarantee
X-Men,
you,
Fantastic Four, something.
I'm going to say this. I guarantee you we're going to get Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
What?
And beyond that, we'll probably get I'm going to say Chris Evans and Jessica Alba from Fantastic Four.
Oh, God.
I hope not.
Anyways, that's the next
They've
big
already
movie.
got Chris. Why not?
They got plenty of
It's
Chris's.
just pull me like, shave your head. No. All right, we'll digitally shave your head.
Okay, we've been going on for quite a while now. There was a lot to talk about. Let's wrap this whole fucking shit up. Rate the movie. This could also take another 4 hours. Give me a number. I don't know. Rate it against all the Spidey movies, all the MCU movies, whatever you want to do. Anthony, what do you think?
So, as I said when we started 17 hours ago, because
God, what day
it was actually, by the way, to the audience that's powered through this is actually my fault because I'm the one that suggested we'd run through the entire plot.
We started
I should have
yesterday.
known with Imran and Matt Delhauer.
I'm sorry.
It's not just me going to run through the entire plot. They will also repeat the entire plot. So that's why we're at this point. Anyways.
Oh, shit.
This is not my fault.
It's partly your fault. More than your fault, actually. As far as a rating for this film, if I'm going to be super critical, right?
Yeah.
This movie has a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
But as an experience, as a freaking Spider-Man fan, as an MCU fan, as a fan that's been watching these movies for 20 years, this is everything you could have ever asked for from the second half on of that film. And it is so satisfying that full well knowing that the movie has holes, I'm going to rate it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
And I know it has holes, but I don't care because it's that fucking good.
Yes.
As far as its ranking among Spider-Man films, again, I think Spider-Man 2 is probably a better film, even though it's a little dated.
Yeah.
I think there are elements in Homecoming and Far From Home that are tighter and well done, more well done.
Yeah. The first Spider-Man movie is really good too.
Yeah, the first Spider-Man movie is really good.
Yeah.
There are elements of Amazing Spider-Man that are good. This movie, Into the Spider-Verse is its own thing. But as far as live-action Spider-Man films, this is my favorite because it's built on everything else that came before it.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. And then as far as MCU films, again, there are probably more well-made MCU films, but as far as an overall experience with the history I have with the character, this is a top 5 MCU film for me.
Holy shit. Nice.
So, there you go. And this is all based on emotion.
Yeah.
Although it's well done emotion.
Yeah. You know what? I'm straight there with you. I was thinking fucking 9. It's easily out of Spidey films. It's in the top 3 for me with Spider-Man 2, and I put Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know what order, but it's probably maybe number 1. 2 is dated. But fuck yeah, I'm gonna fucking give it a 9. I have it in my top 10 of MCU. But just for the nostalgia, the fact that they played the cameos right, they closed up everyone's fucking storyline, gave them close. I didn't think I was getting an Endgame version of Spider-Man. They fucking delivered. They brought it. They did it. Live action Spider-Verse. They delivered. Delhauer, what do you give it?
Oh boy, this is a film that in my life made Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 worth it.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't believe they elevated those movies. They made those movies better.
This movie is a 9 out of 10. This movie is the second highest MCU film I have seen in my entire life.
Oh, that makes me think, what's the first?
Winter Soldier.
Okay. Winter Soldier's a better movie.
Winter Soldier's a better movie. And the ones below it are Infinity War and Endgame.
Sure.
This movie is I'm going to say this movie is the second best comic book film I have ever seen.
Okay.
I will only put Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse above it because I saw that movie first. Which means it has done
the Spider-Verse before. Yeah.
Yes, it has done so much of what this movie has done just before it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that this movie has done it so well.
They did it. They did it. Live action.
I fucking loved it.
Oh my God.
No, this movie is fucking brilliant. It is beautiful. It is worth seeing. Yes, can I pick things apart? Can I find plot holes? Can I sit here for a while and find reasons to say this is bad and that's bad and this doesn't make sense? I don't fucking give a shit, man.
I mean, look, it's a little messy, it's a little clunky. It doesn't matter. I'll take it a little messy and clunky.
This is the first movie in years that I cheered in a movie theater for.
Yeah.
That I said, oh my God, I'm going to be in a movie theater full of everybody else who's going to fit into this theater, and I don't give a shit.
I mean, definitely
I'm in an experience with people right now. I bonded with people over the fact that these people were here. This movie was made. These events happened.
I was talking to the people that were sitting next to me, like, by the end of the movie. Like, I didn't know them, and I was like, they started talking, and we all really just started talking.
It was the type of movie that, like, you watch that movie and you come out and you go, as much as streaming is happening and as much as like everyone has big home theaters now, it's like similar to sports. You guys aren't sports fans, but these are meant to be shared experiences. And an event like this, a movie like this, is meant to be seen in a crowd and shared with people in a big movie theater.
It's that moment where when something happens that you have an emotional reaction to, and you hear someone in the crowd go, yeah, your response is to go, damn right. And you cheer too.
Yeah.
Because everybody in this crowd is having the exact same feeling at the exact same moment. And it is perfect. It is beyond perfect that you are all on that same wavelength, because that is the purpose of this movie.
Not only the highs, but the lows too, right? Like when you're sitting there and you hear the audience sniffling and you're like, I can cry amongst everybody else.
Yeah.
I remember I was at work like on Thursday before I went to see this movie, and I talked about, like, they were like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, oh, my brother and I are going to go see Spider-Man on Friday. And one of the guys, like, I work with was like, Jesus, man, how many fucking Spider-Man movies are they going to make? Like, what the fuck is the point of keeping making these movies? And I was like, look, man, I get it. Like, I understand that attitude, but also, you know, number one, these movies make money. And number two, they're popcorn films. You know, people are not there for, you know, Oscar-worthy performances. They're there to have fun and see action. But then I was sitting there in this movie and I went, these are fucking Oscar-worthy performances. Willem Dafoe left fucking everything on the screen in this movie.
Yeah,
like
he did.
I love the first Spider-Man movie. I love him as Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie. This blows that fucking movie away.
Oh, he leaves it out there. I mean, Alfred Molina's doing really. Tom Holland's killing it. Andrew's killing it. Zendaya's killing it. Jacob Batalon, Marissa Tomei. Like, they're all getting after it so much.
This is a movie. I think I've said before. I'll say it again. This is a movie that reminded me. Andrew Garfield was the best part of the two Spider-Man movies that he was in. But this is the movie that proved to me that if Andrew Garfield had made Spider-Man movies with a director who fucking cared,
we could have had something amazing.
I would have loved those movies.
It definitely made me endear to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man a lot more. Like, I want to see more.
This is the first
of him
time I have seen him have fun in that role.
Yeah.
And I am mourning the fact that I may never see it again.
He's hilarious. Listen, look at the Sony and Marvel see this money coming in. There's going to be more Spider-Man movies. Maybe we do get to see Garfield in some capacity. I don't know. But
I honestly think we may never see them in movie form.
Yeah.
We are most likely going to get like Spider-Man 2002 and Spider-Man 2014 comic book lines.
That would be great too. They did that with Batman 66.
Exactly.
We do one of those things.
I hope
Batman
we don't see
89.
them again. I don't want to see them again purely because we left on such a high note with them.
They tied everything up.
Yeah.
They both left.
You could do it. You could.
They both left redeemed for what had gone on in their lives.
Yes.
Well, do all those movies now end differently if they sent the villains back all cured?
I don't care.
No.
What happens?
I don't care, Andrew.
No, they don't end differently. You know why?
Yeah.
Because there's branch timelines.
Oh,
Toby and Andrew are being sent back to a universe where those movies did happen.
Oh, but the villains aren't.
But the villains are being sent back to a universe where they can change their fate.
Oh.
So Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man's minds,
Yeah.
they've gone through the events of those films and have the knowledge
They've
of going
gone
through
the
event.
redemption of
Yes.
having lived through it and
So
then,
they
and
get
then
both.
cured from it.
Exactly.
That's the
Healed
bit- I
from it.
mean, the redemption is the big key word all around. Redemption for the villains, redemption for the Spider-Man. Like, everybody got redemption.
The movie is literally similar to Endgame in that sense, but the movie is the ultimate, what if you got a second chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if all these characters got a second chance? What
God,
would
they
you do?
fucking nailed it. They nailed it.
And Toby and Andrew and all the actors and actresses involved, they nailed it.
They nailed it. All right, look, that's good. We're going to wrap it up here. Listener, thank you for powering through this. Delhauer, want to plug anything?
Yeah, you could find me on Twitter, I guess. I think it's still Matty DVO TV, even though I haven't been on Twitch for a while, but that's about it.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter. Thanks for listening to this episode, listener. Obviously, we love Spider-Man, but we appreciate you hanging out there. We'll see you next time. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's a nerd.
We'll peep you next time. Spider-Man.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
I really don't give a shit.
Geek